Like the fire I stole from the gods. You're welcome. Alright, I'm ready now.
It's recording, it's just...
Cell phone silented.
Alright, gentlemen, we're just waiting on a guest right now, but we'll be going live. We'll be starting the podcast any minute. Stop laughing.
I didn't know you were going to start like that. We were just going to play music.
Oh yeah, we can play some music.
So are we actually starting, or are we just going to go live and just kind of talk?
Well, they'll get that key song, and then we're like, welcome. I just don't want people to just leave. Screw these guys.
That's why I'm entertaining them.
Alright, cartoon themes from the 90s. It has a picture of Vegeta.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, we're
Those from the 90s.
That. Screw you and your dumbass advertisements. I don't need that, man. See how they get you.
Welcome to a land that's way under, down under. The sky's always yellow in rain or shine.
Down in Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
When Topsy meets Tubby, they start to spin like a Tasmanian devil and his closest kin.
Down in Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
Mom's alive, why her dad's never run along. Molly's all fired up while Jake plays with the dog.
Down in Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
Didgeridingo and Wendell T. Wolf. Francis X. Bush lad is never uncouth. Bushwhacker Bob and his mother gold mom.
Bushwhacker Bob? Isn't that the name of a wrestler?
If you have a deal, just call Buddy Ball. The Platypus Brothers are backing about. The Kiwi, the Bush Rats, have we left anyone out?
Alright.
Yeah, I really can't hear that over the speakers.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, so that put the volume down a little bit. Alright, gentlemen, we are starting.
If it walks like a duck, and it talks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. Ooh, life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, airplanes, it's a duck blur. You might solve a mystery or rewrite history. Ooh, tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Ooh, not pony tales or cotton tails, it's duck tales. Ooh, tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Yo, Scott, the second verse. Ooh, and it seems they're headed for a final curtain. Bold deductions never fail, that's for certain. The worst of messes becomes successes. Ooh, tales of daring, too bad and good luck. Yeah, not ponytails or cotton tails. It's ooh, tales of daring, too bad and good luck. Ooh, danger, watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What you do, just grab on to some love. Yeah, tales of daring, do bad and good luck. Yeah, not ponytails or cotton tails. Duck, 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 duck.
Goose.
Duck, duck, duck.
Goose.
Duck, 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 duckity, duck, 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 duck.
Look at the goose.
Ooh, it blew away my head. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Oh, boy. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You know, that jam was so hot I'm sweating now. Like, literally. I feel sorry for those in the 5-foot vicinity.
It's also a little warm in here, so.
Yeah.
Slow jams with DuckTales.
That was from the Facebook page, Scott Bradley Loves Ya.
Goose.
They've done a bunch of other covers and stuff, but
Goose.
nothing like that. This is I guess part of a new thing that he's doing called Saturday Morning Slow Jams.
Dude, if they don't do Rescue Rangers, I'm going to be pissed. I'm telling you, like that. Like when I saw the DuckTales one, I'm like, I hope there's Rescue Rangers, and there wasn't. And my heart was broken into 1,000 pieces.
I want them to do one of Come to Tasmania.
But first, Rescue Rangers. I'm just telling you, man. Chip and Dale, Monterey Jack, Penny. Come on, the whole gang.
I'm sure they'll do it. Like enough requests.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Everybody who's listening right now, go to their YouTube page and bombard them with requests to do Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Bombard them.
I'm about to reopen this tab. Hang on.
Hey, no time for a tab. We got a podcast going.
Hang on.
But anyway,
post the
welcome
link.
to Straight Outta Austin. This is Prometheus.
This is Agamemnon.
And we're joined once again by...
By Blood Ocean 07.
Blood Ocean 07.
I think you just broke my speakers.
Just broke the stratosphere.
They started going off.
But yeah, welcome back. I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, man, it's been great.
You know, I appreciate you listening to us, you know, when you're not here, you know, and now being here. But, yeah, so we got quite a few topics, actually, today. But I know Agamemnon wanted to do a rant, so I don't know. Carrie says that demon voice is too spooky. Oh, it is. You have no idea. But, yeah, I don't know if you had some stuff you wanted to get off your chest, Agamemnon.
As far as what?
I love how,
Do
like,
I not remember?
We'll, like, discuss, like, what we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then we never
yeah.
actually talk about it.
No, we'll get into it later. We'll let it do it more naturally.
Okay.
I would like to talk about
Uh-huh.
the Raid Barandal.
Uh-huh.
The Raid 2,
Uh-huh.
as it's known in America.
You want to talk about it now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, first, let's welcome Jordan Luke Zabawa.
He's actually a good friend of mine. Actually, he lives like in Houston, like Houston
Okay.
area.
Oh, nice. H-Town shout-outs.
Yeah, we talk a lot on Skype and YouTube and all that stuff.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jordan. You're in for one hell of a show. And by one hell of a show, you don't know what the hell you got yourself into. But yeah, the Raid 2. Oh man, Barandal or whatever.
Barandal.
So you don't even need to know how to pronounce it. You don't even know how to spell it. You don't even know how to read the subtitles because that movie, like, the action itself speaks for itself. It's insane. Like, have you seen the first Raid?
I have not.
Okay, well, pretty much just imagine like the best action you've ever seen, and then like jack that up to 11.
Yeah.
Like, the best action you've seen, like even better than that action.
Like
Yeah.
better than Expendables. That was a high action movie. That was a man's movie.
You know, okay, well, Expendable. It's slightly above Expendables.
Okay.
No, it's amazing. Like, I don't ever saw like Tony Jaa.
I know the name.
Okay, ever see like classic Jackie Chan?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Well, they're both good in their own right. I know Agamemnon will have beef if I say it's better.
Think of something like Police Story.
But if
And
Jackie
kind of
Chan-
like throw in more surreal violence. Like throw in like if Live Leak had the money to make their own version of movie based off of like all these insanely horrific graphic clips of shootings and car chases and stuff like that, and they were like, let's just make a movie out of that. And, like that's
Yeah.
what it would be.
I'm pretty much like thinking of it this way. It's almost like anytime you see like an action movie, if it's like so convincing where you feel like someone may have been harmed in this production, or they're like, wow, this looks real. How did they fake this? Like if you watch The Raid, you can just assume that everybody died. Like all the stuntmen died, and they had to get a whole new stuntman for The Raid 2. And the stuntmen were pretty much like their family. They go to their family and they're like, all right, I'm doing this. Here's the money to take care of the rest of the family. I've got to go do this movie, and I'm not coming home, honey. This is the insurance money. Just kisses his kids, and he goes off to do The Raid, and he's never seen again except for on the big screen. But no, it's really it's so badass. Like if you love action movies, you'll love it. If you're the type of person that gets like squeamish about broken bones or caved in skulls, you should see it anyway. But you'll be cringing the whole way. You'll be like, ah. You'll be limping out of the theater like someone kicked my ass. I didn't even know money.
I think I'm fine with those type of movies, like gore and all that.
Oh, yeah, dude. Okay, so you would think, like, okay, if there's going to be gore in a movie with the character that beats people up with hammers, you think it's because they're breaking limbs. And this one, they're like, nah. They're just too simple. That's too straightforward.
Yeah.
Instead, she like uses the backside of the hammers
to
and,
like
starts,
rake flesh off
rake
the
flesh
back.
off.
Yeah, it's
pretty
pretty
intense.
You'll
yeah.
never look at a hammer the same way again. Like, every time I go into Home Depot, I'm just watching my six, like waiting for some crazy like Asian lady to jump out and start attacking me. And if I survive, be like, so does that mean I can get your number?
Yeah.
As I'm limping away to the checkout stand.
Exactly. Like, if you like if you like movies that break bones, like, this is that movie. But it does it so, like, insanely. Like, there's movies where, like, you know, the hero or whomever grabs a dude's head and just kind of, like, basketballs it off the wall, you know, just pop, pop, pop. And in here, it's just kind of like he punches a dude's face into the wall or into, like, the side of a chair, and then not only gets stuck there, but then it gets, like, caved in, and you're just like, oh, my God, you know? You're just, like, freaking out.
Yeah.
Carrie said the raid helped me grow a beard.
Yeah, I was just about to mention
like,
that,
not
yeah.
only does it help grow a beard, but whatever stubble that you have there, you're going to come out with, like, a full beard. And it's going to be red with, like, little trickles of blood on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and at that point, you'll know that you've been through a battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so good. It's just like, okay, because I love the first Raid. It was great. And it was one of those movies where I heard the sequel was coming out.
Yeah.
And I like, whenever I'm already sold on a movie, I don't need trailers or anything else to get me more hype. I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah.
I saw the first trailer. I don't want to see anything else. I don't want to even spoil anything. I'm like, there's no way they can top the Raid. Like, I'm thinking, like, as long as it's at least as good, I'll be happy. No. It was better. It was it's the few times, like, not only does it's almost like seeing Batman Begins. You know, all right, this is really good. Batman's begun. This is a whole new chapter. This is better than Batman and Robin shit.
It has.
And then Dark Knight comes out, and you're like, holy shit! Like, this is possible. You're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to
Well, okay, I'll put it this way. There's movies where I'll just throw in a few out there. Like, think, what's the one where Jackie Chan's a treasure hunter?
National Treasure?
No. Armor of Gods.
Oh, okay.
The Armor of God. Armor of God, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. But the story's kind of half-cocked. It's not all that great, and you're not watching for that. You're just watching for, like, the over-the-top humor.
Yeah.
You know, and it comes off more like a ecchi-type anime more than anything. Or even think, like, the newest Tony Jaa movies, like The Protector or even Ong Bak.
Yeah.
Where their movies are good, but the premises is kind of shoddy. It's like, would somebody really go to that length just for a stolen Buddha head? I don't know. But it's like, it's not like wholeheartedly convincing. Or a dude going after his baby elephant. Like, I'm going to travel across to a different continent to grab my elephant back, you know?
Well, I mean, they do have religious significance, but I will defend Tony Jaa in that, because that's what made the movies the best, because it was such a simple plot. It was just, you steal from Tony Jaa, he will find you, and he will break every
But
bone
in both
in your...
movies, he dies. Well, I don't know about the Protector.
I don't think he died in The Protector.
Okay,
No,
but
they're
in
making a
Ong Bak,
sequel.
he died at the end, just for a Buddha head that may or may not get returned back.
Hey.
I think it does, but
Hey.
I think
Sometimes
it was the young girl
sometimes you
that
gotta
took
risk
it
a
back.
life for your deity of choice. And if it means you gotta break a lot of bones and die, then that's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish that they would just continue like that plot line where they just like even though he died, like somehow that's like him reincarnated.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's pretty much just the plot of Taken, where it's just like stop taking his stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's and like they just expanded it in the next one, and he's just really just like this dude that's just like really like mentally like unstable.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't know any better. So you steal his stuff, he just goes crazy.
Yeah, sharing is not caring for this
Yeah,
guy.
all right. Give me back my elephant! Just bust you with an
Yeah.
elbow in the crown of your head.
Well, and you know, in this instance, like, you know, the sequels, those movies are just like, to me, they're fun. I take them for what they are, but the story's not all that great. And The Raid was a little bit like that, but it had more of a relatable premise, like more of like a real world premise. You know, like they're trying to do this kind of like special op, like not a whole lot of people know that they're going in and raiding this. It's like pretty much like a crack house, but it's like a multi-tiered crack house, and they have people in there, like they rent rooms and stuff, and they test new drugs and all this other kind of, it's just like a whole like project tower just for selling drugs and, you know, doing dope deals, stuff like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, but like the whole building's just like one big project.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can get behind this story. It's fun. It's simple enough. And it's not like, hey, they took my elephant and I'm going to go to Australia from Cambodia or whatever it was. So I was just like, okay, it feels more grounded. This is my kind of like kung fu movie. It's just like, I was into it. And then they talked about the second one, so I was kind of like, oh, man, the sequel, it's not going to be... Like, I was kind of opposite, where you were just kind of sold. Even though I saw the trailer, it looked fun.
Yeah.
It looked so badass. I was still like, but it's a sequel. You know, it's like, Iron Man 2 wasn't as good as Iron Man, but whatever.
I guess the reason why I felt strongly about it, because I knew, like, he already had a sequel in mind, and The Raid 2 was the movie he wanted to do originally. He just
really?
didn't have the budget, so he's like, well, I'll just do The Raid, because, the Raid's self-contained. I mean, literally, they're in one building the entire movie.
Yeah.
The Raid 2, they're going all over the place, beating up everybody.
Yeah.
Came to my house.
Yeah, just like, man, like, the action was just so solid. It was so good. I love movies that don't rely too heavily on gunplay.
Yeah.
And this was that kind of movie, to where, like, they had the dudes with guns and stuff, but, like, because of the close quarters and stuff, they either aren't able to use them, or some of the SWAT guys get taken out, and they end up relying more on, like, martial arts and stuff. It's like, yes, this is great. This is awesome.
It was almost like halfway through the movie, everyone just ran out of bullets.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, all right, we're just going to beat you up then.
Use our Fist of Fury now.
And then the way the second one starts, it's just right on the heels of the first one. And the first one left it open enough to where it's like, because I didn't know that he had already had, like, that was supposed to be the original Raid, I guess. I didn't. They left the opening like, okay, well, if the movie does well enough, I'll leave it open to where, like, a sequel would make sense. I didn't know, so it makes much more sense that it was that good.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't know if they're going to come up with something good enough in, like, a couple more years' time, and I don't know. I just didn't have a lot of faith. I don't have faith in general for sequels.
Yeah.
So we went to go see it, and within the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is a completely different movie from what the first one was. Like, it's not too much of a spoiler, but one of the characters, they just straight up shoot him in the head. And he's like, hey, I brought this guy in for justice. It's like, this is our kind of justice. And then he starts detailing this whole plan that, you're going to go undercover, you're going to spend 6 months tops in jail, and that 6 months ends up getting stretched out to 2 to 3 years. So he's already kind of, like, pissed. He has to leave his wife and his newborn son, and he can't have any contact with them. They go into, like, a sort of witness protection program. He never gets to see him again. So he's not. It's not even that he has a lot to lose. He pretty much loses it all.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, like, street justice, I guess. And then so he ends up going undercover, and the people that they set him up with the wire. They almost get him in trouble.
Yeah, he almost gets killed right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like you're going undercover with gangsters, and they, like, planted a wire on him. Didn't tell him about it.
Yeah.
He just happened to see it as he's exiting jail, and the first thing they do was, like, strip search, and they're like, get naked. He's like, come on, guys, we just met, buy me a drink first.
The cool thing about that scene was, like, it wasn't, I don't even think he was nervous because, he thought they were going to do something. It was just, to me, it seemed more like timid in just being naked in general. So it's like you kind of get, like, both sides, but, like, well,
this isn't an HBO production. I didn't sign up for this.
But it's not like those things. So, if it was like Sylvester Stallone or something, they'd make, like, some weird, like, pun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it would be, like, fun and endearing, but then they would take their shirt off and just, like, sitting there with all their muscles.
You see anything you like?
Popping out at you, making you feel bad that you don't go to gym at least once a week.
Yeah, right. Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah.
Hey, the bar ain't bending. You just pretending.
But, I mean, with all that said, it's like, it just made Rama, who's the main character, made him seem very grounded, very relatable. You know? And I don't know, man, just going in, every actor was really good. I forget what the main boss's name was. But he was just really, like, charismatic without even trying to be.
Yeah.
And it was like, this dude's a bad guy. And it had that very Sons of Anarchy feel to where, like, these are all more or less questionable, evil people, but you can't help but rooting for them. And just hoping, like, they get away from the cops or whatever it is. It's
the son was an asshole, though.
Yeah, the son was an asshole. He kind of looked like a very young...
Bruce Campbell?
Yeah, a very young Malaysian version of Bruce Campbell.
Indonesian, sir?
Indonesian, I'm sorry.
Or actually, wasn't he actually German? Because we were looking him up on IMDb.
He was of, like, I think his mom was German or something like that.
But yeah, the main, like, one of the main villains, like, actually, like, looks like Bruce Campbell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's just really weird.
He looks like Bruce Campbell from, like, Evil Dead style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
But, I mean, to me, it's like, if a person being, like, the bad guy can make you hate him for the obvious reasons, then job done. Because usually when you hate bad guys, it's just because, like, they suck. But in very few movies, like, you hate the bad guy because of all the things he's actually doing and the characters he's killing.
So
and just
Joffrey.
the way he... Yeah, like, Joffrey. Like, that kid is an incredible actor. Like, I'm sure he creates those levels of hate outside of fandom. You know, to where it's just like, hey, I was watching Game of Thrones. You're really good in that. It's like, but I fucking hate you.
Oh,
If I
yeah,
ever
yeah.
see
He
you
gets a
again,
lot of
I'm
hate
going
mail.
to murder you.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, you know what? I'm retiring from acting now. Goodbye, guys. It's not worth it.
Yeah. But I don't know. And then, not even to go into the action, but Jesus Christ. You know, on top of all the action, it's just like the story itself was very solid. And I guess that's my whole point of this whole rant. It was like the story...
There's a point.
Even if it's basic, it has a lot of little elements into it, and it was almost in the same vein as like how Captain America was trying to just be a movie, not trying to be a superhero movie. It was trying to be like a Jason Bourne style movie with the superhero characters.
Yeah.
So it wasn't trying to be like, oh, well, we got to make him look like he can, you know, fight Galactus or some shit like that, you know, make it really campy and cheesy.
Hits him in the toe.
Yeah.
Crunch.
And I forget their names, but the brothers, the directors, they got it in that
Russo,
movie.
I think.
Yeah, the Russo brothers. They got it. They understood it. And they were like, you know, let's just make a movie and then just kind of inject superhero characters into it, you know? What's going to sound like a cool movie. And this is kind of how the raid was. We're like, hey, let's create this really kind of like... It wasn't like too intricate, but there's plot elements that don't get mentioned. It doesn't throw things in your face. It doesn't spell it out for you. But if you're really looking for it, and at the end of it all, when you're sitting there wondering like, hey, this was never mentioned at the end of the movie. Because the way the end of the movie ends, it leaves a lot of strings unattached. And... It doesn't go out and wrap it all up. There's no, like, prologue or anything like that. There's no, like, you know, after the big warehouse fight at the end and, you know, the hero triumphs, there's no, like, hey, we're back at the office. It just leaves with this very kind of, like, sort of artsy kind of, I don't know quite how to explain it, but it's this kind of little artsy little... you know, it goes into, like, you hear the people talking, but it's playing, like, this music. And then it's just kind of silence. And then you just hear, like, his final words, like, no, I'm not going back. And then you're like, well, obviously, just from that, you can understand, like, for that whole minute that you couldn't hear what they were saying, like, understand what they were probably talking about. It was like, it'd be nice to know. But then there's other things that they do in the movie. You're like, okay, well, what happened here with this dude and this guy? And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, if you really, like, look into it yourself and actually kind of wonder, it's like, okay, well, they didn't really leave it open. It was closed, but because the events at the end of the movie, the way they happen, it's just like, okay, so it closed in a different way, not the way you would expect it. But it, like, to me, what I really liked about the movie is it doesn't go out and, like, spell these things out for you.
Yeah, you know? It's like, especially for a movie that's pretty much predicated on brutal action, it's actually very artfully done. It's not like exploitive in the way that it has the violence, even though you're there for the violence, but it's still like it's still like a very like beautiful movie. Like, it's done really well. So I can't say enough good things about it. So I won't say anything else more about it unless you have anything else.
No. I just highly recommend. If you like martial arts movies, this right now, I think. I mean, if you don't like the whole blood factor, because a lot of people that enjoy martial arts films, they like the Jackie Chan, Jet Li style, where there's not a whole lot of blood. But if you don't mind the blood, you don't mind the gore, to me, I would say this is more like the pinnacle of where martial arts movies are at in this day and age.
Yeah, it's like I was all impressed with Tony Jaa, and now it's like I'm glad. It's like I was so disappointed when he didn't really, like, his movie career kind of fell off, and then I saw The Raid. I'm like, I'm satisfied. I don't care. He can never do another movie again, and I'm 100% okay with that because we have his successor.
I think if you go back 10 years and just look at all the martial arts. Just any action flick, any movie that's like action adventure genre. I don't think there's a movie that holds a candle to it.
Oh yeah, well even I don't know. To me, like just in general, like there's very few action movies or martial arts movies that have that level of action, and the plot is interesting enough to where you care about it. Because there's some that are the best fight scenes, but you're just fast forwarding to the fights because everything else is like, why? Is
well, that's the whole thing. It's like
movie?
He's a cop, right? But he's got to go to jail, and like the whole premise is like you have to be friends with that dude. But even with the Bruce Campbell looking kid, I forget what was his name, Uko, I think.
Echo or Eco?
No,
or Akko.
Echo was the dude. Oh, I'm not gonna because there's spoilers. But he was the boss's right hand man.
Yeah,
and the boss's son was named. I think his name was Uko. And you have to be friends with him. He was like, yeah, but this dude is the boss's son.
Okay, it was Ito, I think.
No, that was the other dude.
Oh.
That was the boss's
Bruce
right-hand
Campbell
man.
guy. Bruce Campbell guy. Let's go with him.
Eka was the boss's right-hand man, and then
okay.
Uko was the boss's son.
Oh, that's what I said.
No. Well, you keep saying echo and all this shit. Anyways, Uko is in jail. He's doing like not serious time, but enough to where it's like I shouldn't even be in here in the first place. And so you have to befriend him. So it's like, well, why am I going to befriend the guy of the boss that I'm trying to take down? You know, or how am I going to do that so simple? It was like, well, and he didn't want to do it in the first place. Like, I'm not going to jail. I just got a son.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, another guy that's there, the guy that put him in jail was the guy. Should I spoil it?
Well, the guy that put him in jail?
The guy that put him in jail, whose son, the guy that he's trying to go after, kills a certain somebody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, that part's kind of typical where it's like, there's obviously like the catalyst that makes them change their mind about like, all right, I guess I'll beat up a few people.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, it's like the opening scene, so I'm not really spoiling it. Well, no, yeah, I am. Because if you haven't seen the first one, yeah, never mind. Anyways, a certain somebody dies, and so he's like, okay, we'll go in and do this. But he does it on his own terms. Yeah. So he ends up fighting Uko's little crew that he sets up in jail. And he takes them all out, but then they ended up like, gang rushing him in the bathroom.
We took out like, let's say there's 30 of them. We took out at least like 20, and the last 10 just like dogpiled him.
Yeah, and then the other ones came on and jumped on him as well. And so they kind of created an alliance only after the incredibly badass rec yard scene.
Yeah.
That scene was so freaking dope, man.
Oh, yeah. That whole movie was.
To me, I don't know. Without going into the other scenes, I think if you don't like the movie by that point, you should just turn it all off. Because right there, I think that's kind of like the high point of... Well, maybe not the high point, but it's like the first peak of violence. Where it's just kind of like there's so much of it. Mm-hmm. That if you can handle this, there's a good chance that you can probably climb the other peaks of violence that are within the rest... Exactly. But, I mean, your chances are that much greater if you can get past this scene, because there's a lot of, like, bone breaking, a lot of smashing of faces into hard pieces of things.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of dudes that actually get shot, and those are, like, the tamest parts, you know? Because, like, getting shot is such a quick thing. It's like a dude climbing a fence, like, hey, let's utilize this time to escape. Yeah. So two dudes start climbing up, and then one dude gets shot, and he's just like hanging there on the fence, and then you see like the sniper and like, reload, and then the other dude not getting the hint, like, oh, well, if he's dead, the other guy's going to take forever to shoot me, and then he gets shot like right after, and then drags the other body down with him. So they're sitting there lifeless. Yeah. And I think those are like it's probably like one of the first two like bullet deaths in the
I think so, yeah.
Gun deaths. Like, this is like 30 minutes into the movie and only 3 people have been killed by bullet. Yeah. Everyone else that is dead or in the hospitals because they've got their bones broken by like human hands.
It's like fisticuffs or a prison shank.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't recommend this movie enough. I'm done ranting about it. I'm going to sit here and spoil it because I know I'm going to say something that I shouldn't be saying, and I almost said it a couple of times. But go and see The Raid 2. It is so good.
Yeah, if you're in Austin, it's playing at Tinseltown, the greatest theater in Austin. Not really. It's one of the crappiest ones. But
that's one of the worst things about it is it's got such a limited release. And I was actually talking to people at work about this, and like no one had ever heard of The Raid.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? It's like, dude. And these are people that like just really love action movies. One in particular, I think it was Eddie, and he was telling me he hadn't heard of it. I was like, dude, but you watch movies like 24... like, this dude, like, hey, I've seen this movie. Like, he watches garbage movies, just like anything that's out, he'll go and see it. Yeah. And then he'll go and rent it on Redbox. So, like, every movie that's out right now, every movie that you can see that's out there at a theater right now, he's probably seen like 90% of them.
So he's like a big movie buff.
Yeah, he's a big movie buff. He had never heard of The Raid. I was like, dude, have you not heard of The Raid?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, like, if you don't, like, read about movies on the internet, you probably will never hear about it. Or, like, word of mouth, Yeah. It's like, now we've, now let a lot of other people know about it. But it's like, yeah, as far as advertising, because I'm sure no one has seen a trailer on TV or even in the theater.
Yeah,
unless maybe, like, in the Alamo Drafthouse, where it's also playing at Lakeline Cinema. But, yeah. So, watch The Raid 2. If you can find one of 2 places it's playing in Austin. It is fantastic. So, anyway, moving on.
Actually, go ahead and post the trailer.
Okay.
In the chat room.
moving on to huge, ground-breaking news nobody saw coming. It is mind-blowing. It is amazing. So we know, the sequel to Batman Superman is coming out, I don't know, 2000-something.
Like 16?
Yeah, 2016.
Batman Superman, 2016.
Yeah, so, directed by Zack Snyder again. And they just announced that Zack Snyder's also going to direct Justice League. And it's just like, did you all really even need to announce that? Like, that was pretty much understood. Like, Batman Superman is practically already Justice League.
Yeah, like the beginning stages of it.
Pretty much. It's just like every day, like, all they do is add, like, more characters to that movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all I see is just more and more cars piling up for this massive, like, train wreck. It's just like, I don't know. I had hopes for the movie, just like as a sequel in general. When it's first like Man of Steel 2, they can introduce Lex Luthor. There's a good way to put him in the film. Like, he's trying to pretty much kind of warn Earth about, like, we have this crazy alien that just destroyed Metropolis. Maybe we shouldn't be trusting him. So instead, that turned into Louis said it best. He says, Batman Superman is pretty much Justice League, the film pilot. And that's pretty much all it is. It's like they didn't even let Superman get a sequel to shine. Like, all they're trying to do is play catch-up with Marvel. And it's like, I want it to be good because, I don't have any ill will against DC. I do against Superman. But even I like Man of Steel. I was like, all right, Supes punched people. It looked like a live-action DBZ. Like, I was satisfied. So it's like, and I think they had potential to do an even better movie. And now it's just like, nah, let's put Batman in there. So it's just like, I love Batman, but come on, Batman's had his trilogy.
Yeah.
It's just like
People want more.
Yeah. I mean,
that ending of Dark Knight Rises just left it open. People just wanted more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can never have enough Batman, but still, it's just like, give Supes his time to at least let Superman have 2 movies. He doesn't need a whole trilogy.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a quadrilogy. But at the bare minimum, he should at least be given his sequel. And the fact that they've completely just turned it into a Justice League movie is just like, really? Come on. I don't know. And I never thought I'd be defending Superman, but every time it's just like, now, this is another topic we have there. Now they've just announced that Ray Fisher, applause please, because everyone knows who this kid is going to play Cyborg. And I'm assuming he's a good actor.
Well, he's done, like, Broadway or some kind of, like, high-class theater.
Yeah.
He played Muhammad Ali.
Huh.
So
he can box. He's got the fisticuffs. He's going to have robot fist punching people. But, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny. DC, for, like, the last decade, has just been trying to, like, cram Cyborg down people's throats. It's just like, come on, guys. He's a good character. And I got nothing against Cyborg, but it really seems like I've never seen a character that's been, like, B-list get such a huge push. Because obviously he was in Teen Titans, and then whenever they make, like, the Justice League movies or even in Injustice, he has kind of a big role. It's like, come on, y'all, we got Cyborg. We got black characters, too, y'all. They're robots, but come on. It's going to be in a movie. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny, but, Luis never heard of him. Yeah, I don't think anybody's heard of him.
Actually, I'm going to look him up.
But to that point, though, I think it's funny that, at least as far as the internet/geek community, like, Gal Gadot pretty much overnight became a household name. You know, if your household consists of people that read a lot of news on the internet, it's like nobody knew who she was. And I was like, Gal Gadot, oh, I know her. She's going to be Wonder Woman. So it's like, it's already done wonders for her career. No pun intended. Without the movie having even have come out yet.
Right.
So I think Man of Steel sequel, it comes out, 2016? So I'm guessing Justice League is going to be, 2018?
Yeah. At least. 18.
Yeah. It's just, oh my God. So we're in, 2014? It's like, I really am not trying to get hyped for a movie for 4 years.
Right.
Like, I already don't care that much, and I doubt in 3 to 4 years I'm going to care more.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's kind of annoying. It's like, for me, I forgot what movie it just came out recently. Like, I don't know. I kind of want to say with Captain America. Like, you heard, like, rumblings about it, but they didn't really start, like, the big push until closer to when the movie actually came out. You didn't have.
Yeah, it was like maybe a few months before Thor came out.
Yeah, it wasn't like 2 years in the making. The Winter Soldier. It's
yeah,
like,
here WB Warner Brothers is every time I say WB, I think of like the old TV channel.
All I can think about is Mr. J. Frog.
I think of Smallville and the Wayans brothers.
Oh my gosh,
Animaniacs.
Yeah, Animaniacs. There you go.
That is cute, and go.
Yeah, I don't know what Warner Brothers' reason is for just like, hey, we're gonna come out with all this stuff because I mean. all we've heard about Captain America 3 is like it's coming out the same day as Batman Superman.
Yeah.
And there's already like rumors that Disney hasn't okayed the final say on that. Like the big wigs at Disney are probably I don't know what they're going to do, but just from what I was reading it seemed like we're not entirely committed to that date. That's just what it seemed like. Like, well, I guess it could move a week ahead, could we move a week back. I don't think either one should move, and not just because I want to see like who's gonna win, because like I'm at that age where like I don't give a fuck about like console wars.
Yeah,
I don't care if one movie does better, because I'm gonna go and see them both that day, and I think that's the thing. I think that's the whole point of this, is just have them both come out the same day. Let comic book movies make their mark on that day. Like, oh, Batman, Superman, and Captain America made the top honors this box office weekend. Beat out like whatever other movies are coming out that day. Which I'm sure there's not going to be a whole lot of great movies coming out that weekend.
I'm sure every other movie is running scared. I want
think,
no part of that.
I think stay away.
Yeah,
just because. All the controversy and all the hoopla behind Batman, Superman, that's going to get a lot of people. That's already got a lot of people going to see this movie. And then on top of Captain America 2, Winter Soldier being such a good movie, I think that's got a lot of movie viewers, even people that probably weren't initially interested in comic book movies, and then after seeing Captain America 2, they're like, we got to go see the third one. Now you got investment. So those people, the millions are going to be going to see that movie, opening weekend. And then on top of the two of them facing off against each other, then you have like the fanboys coming out in full force saying like, hey, let's go support our movie, and there's just gonna be so many people.
To me, the only thing that I would say about not having them open at the same time, because most people are only going to see one that night.
Yeah.
So it's like they could both open and open big, and another movie could maybe trump them, because it's like the moviegoers are going to be split in half.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're worried about. Because, that's pretty much the biggest competition you can have, like the two Goliaths of, Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
But, I think what would be funny if they released like whatever sequel to the Hunger Games, what just like beats them both out. We got the tween market, y'all.
Mockingjay.
But I don't know. I think even if they did it like just a week apart, that would be better than having the same exact release date. Because I think neither movie has anything to like fear from the other one. I'm sure they're both going to do great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, they're probably going to do better spaced out a little bit. Because I think one of the reasons why Cap 2 did so well, and even the original Hunger Games, when the first Hunger Games movie came out, there was nothing worth seeing. Yeah. So it's like not only was it popular, but it's just like, well, you go to a buddy like, hey, you want to go to a movie? Sure. What do you want to see? Well, Hunger Games is out. I'll see it for the third time.
Yeah,
there's shit else out. yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like that. So it's like Cap 3 came out. There wasn't really much, or Cap 2 came out. There wasn't much competition. Mm-hmm. And I feel like them actually opening like early summer, like, April, May, it's actually that much more beneficial than, like, let's be in the middle of summer when Star Wars and Justice League and all these other movies are coming out.
Star Wars?
Well, that's coming. Well, by the time these movies come out, Star Wars is gonna be out.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about movies for this summer.
No,
like Spider-Man's barely coming out.
Yeah, I'm talking about when these movies come out. Like, it makes sense to move it around instead of, like, all of the huge summer blockbusters. Because, like, that's how last year was. Yeah. It was, like 10 different like blockbuster movies all in the span of like 3 months. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people had like fatigue from like, oh god, too much explosions.
Yeah, the Nerd Geek and Dork Facebook page, they even had like a little wager and like, hey, what's going to be your list of the summer action movies for what's going to be the they were taking bets on like people were creating their top 10s or their top 3s. I forget how the game went, but like whoever won at the end of the summer box office war actually got a prize from the page.
Yeah,
I forgot who ended up winning it. I want to say it was.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's right. I was gonna say I want to say it was like Nathan LaHaye or
yeah.
Josh
Well,
Payne.
I don't know. Regardless, but it's like one of those things. I don't know. Well, Carrie Figueroa said that the summer's pretty much the same. That said, though, but I don't know. To me, like a lot of the movies last year were kind of lackluster. Like this year, at least we got Captain America to kick it off. So at at least we can pretend like this summer's going to be good because we had one excellent movie at the forefront.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, last year was, like, first of all, Iron Man 3. Not going to get into that. But, you know, there was that movie where I was just, like, done. I'm like, Marvel movies, this is the beginning.
I remember going to see that movie, and we were like, man, that was a fun movie. And I remember you were just kind of like, yeah, it was pretty good. I really liked it. And I was even going off like, I think that was probably even better than Iron Man 1 and 2. And then I just remember going back and seeing it, and then revisiting it with you, and like, no, it was later in the week actually, and you were, I guess after it had just kind of marinated, and like, I got some actual beefs with that movie, and like, this happened, and why did this happen, and there was so much
the story.
Yeah, there were so many better ways to save the people on the plane, and like all this other crazy stuff.
It wasn't even just that. Oh, I got to go on a tangent. Tangent alert. I'm sorry, you've sucked it out of me. It's not just that there was a better way. Okay, remember there are all those people that were locked in that room?
Yeah.
So he saves all the people that are falling. And if you didn't have the luck of flying out of the plane and having Iron Man directly save you, you just died.
Yeah,
he never went back to save the people still on the plane. I was just like, really? Like, you're not even going to make an attempt. He's just like, so what about the guys in the plane, Iron Man? Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't buy stock in Stark Corporation. So I don't know. There's just so many moments like that where it's like, if there was just a few, I could overlook it, but there's so many where it's just like, there's just like this lapse in just like quality where like they didn't even bother to explain anything.
Yeah.
Another part, while I'm already on my rant that just annoyed me, is where with Ronnie when he is like in his War Machine suit and they take it over, and you
Ronnie?
know, or what is that his name? Whatever his name is,
Rhodey,
same thing. Anyway, Don Cheadle. So Don Cheadle gets like heated out of his suit, and he comes out, you know, and they take the suit over or whatever. Even that part didn't really make any sense, but that's not even my beef. After they get him out of the suit, they just leave him in the room. They don't kill him. They don't even tie him up. They probably didn't even lock the door. They're like, hey, thanks for the suit. Have a nice day. Just probably gave him some pastries, sent him on his way. It was just like, what amateur hour is this? Like, even like the worst
it's funny because wasn't he
kidnappers-
wearing like a polo and some khakis or something
Probably.
like that?
I don't
Probably
know.
was.
I don't care. Is this?
Do you think you would need like minimal wardrobe to get into the, or like some kind of like bodysuit?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even more so, like, he's actually, like, on duty. Like, he went there to find a terrorist. You think he'd at least be in fatigues or some type of BDUs. He's just, like, he's, like, in his clubbing wear, you know, just, like, wearing, like, a leisure suit, like, all right, y'all, it's time to party. So, I don't know. It's stuff like that.
Summer wear on.
And it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, obviously I get people can pick apart some of my favorite movies, like The Dark Knight, and definitely The Dark Knight Rises. But to me, they were still better movies. Iron Man 3 had all these problems, and then on top of that, just a story that didn't really go anywhere. The cliche, like, Fuzzy Slippers likes to point out, like, the plot of Iron Man 3 was the plot of The Incredibles. You know? It was just pretty much like, oh, this guy was mean to me, and now I'm going to be a villain.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't come talk
kind
to
of
me
like
on the roof.
A classic villain, though.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just, I don't know. Moving on. I don't even want to talk about this stupid movie anymore. Makes me angry. Makes me so angry.
You know, it's just more that we came off the cusp of Avengers, where like Loki pretty much potentially could have destroyed the Earth.
Yeah.
And all this like crazy stuff happened, and like he's literally trying to like take it all over. And there's like a grander scheme in the works. And Iron Man 3 just becomes this kind of like inclusive to Tony Stark, like, I have to rediscover myself again.
But see, the thing is, that was fine. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh man, this is going to be really introspective. This is like, is he more than just the suit and that whole like theme? I was like, this is really intriguing. It looks like it's going to be like really dark, take itself seriously. But it wasn't that. I think that's why I was so disappointed, because it had such potential. And in the wake of like Dark Knight Rises, you kind of thought it was going to be like a lot darker movie, and it didn't really have to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, what makes Iron Man so good is like the charm and the comedic timing of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
But it was just like, to me, they had this incredible premise because he pretty much has PTSD. It's like you never really see like a superhero having to deal with the after effects of what they've just dealt with.
Yeah.
With somewhat Spider-Man, but to have a character, especially like Tony Stark, who's just an asshole all the time. Like, that's how he deals with life.
Yeah.
And him actually having to come to terms with like, whoa, there are aliens. I almost died. Like, here's a whole new thing that I have to discover. And it was like that up until the kid was introduced, and then the whole movie just
The kid.
ambulanched down. It's just
Yeah, Carrie just even said it. I think that kid's sidekick was lame.
yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty horrible.
Oh,
But I mean,
yeah.
to me, it always seems like the Iron Man movies themselves are just very self-contained, as opposed to like all the other movies that tie into Avengers.
Mhm.
You know, there's nothing that really ties any of the Iron Man movies into the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. Exactly,
Okay,
kind of.
but
But there's no like Easter egg thing, like the whole thing with Captain America 2. There was stuff from the first one and from Avengers that actually led up to the events that happened. You know, the whole thing with Hydra and everything. Like when Tony points out that there was crates and stuff, those were all like Hydra weapons on the helicarrier in the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuff leads into Captain America 2. There's nothing like that in Iron Man. All you get from Iron Man was in the first one, the terrorists were using his own equipment because they were being provided by Obadiah Stane, who has now been eliminated. So it's all self-contained. It's all self-contained
I don't know.
stories.
I give the first one a pass because it was
I
the
understand
first
that.
one,
I understand
and there was
that.
no universe being
But there's
tied
no
to
excuse
it.
for the third one, and
No,
there's
no.
nothing because it focuses. It's just Iron Man 1 all over again.
Yeah. Okay, the
That's all
second
it
one,
is.
though, was tied into it. I mean, that's when you first get introduced to Black Widow. You know, Nick Fury was in it. So I think that one is tied into it. But yeah, the third
but
one,
that's kind of it because they
this was
everything that even
pre-Avengers,
happens.
Yeah, that was even before Avengers.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in Iron Man 2 gets completely disregarded by the Avengers. Like, oh, well, everything that they were talking about, this grand scheme and the Avengers things, like, by the time Avengers starts, there is no plans for that anymore. And then all that actually comes together, like, we need to make this plan work. Because it had already been shelved. It had already been ditched. Like, yeah, we can't make... These people are just too, like... They're not going to work together.
But that's the government.
So the
They're like,
Avengers
you know
Initiative
what?
is no more. You know, and at the end, and a lot of those little things happen at the end of the movies. So those were all like the Easter egg scenes.
I don't know. I can only agree with you at 1/3 of the way. Because the first one has the past being the only one. The second one was before Avengers, and it did have other characters. The third one, though...
It doesn't
that's
have
what-
an excuse.
Well, yeah. Well, that's one of my huge gripes about
It
it.
tied into the third one a little bit because it did like a flashback. Because when he fell,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's about it. Really.
But see, and that's the thing, though. But it's still, because of that, it still stays self-contained. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, he's got PTSD, and that was like the big thing. Like they just kept like throwing that in your face.
Yeah.
You know, in the reviews and everything, like, oh, you know, he's got PTSD. No one ever really explores PTSD. I was like, yeah, okay,
A movie
I'll
gave
give
me
him that.
PTSD.
But it's just like it's just Iron Man 1 all over again. It's like he's just rebuilding, and then it's pretty much it just all becomes cyclical because now he's not the man with the little arc reactor in his chest anymore. He's back to like original Tony by the end of it all. I'm like, okay, well, who's he going to be? What the hell's going to power his Iron Man suits now?
Okay, so now you're touching on all the points that annoy the shit out of me. Because, okay, it's not just that they took it out. It's just like, okay, whatever. Obviously, he's still going to be Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's just a cheap ending, like, oh, what's going to happen? He's going to put the damn suit on in the Avengers. It's like, that's all you already know is going to happen.
Yeah.
What pisses me off is the whole reason why he had to invent a whole new element is because he couldn't get those pieces out. Like, all the shrapnel was too close to his heart. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'll get all those pieces of metal right next to my heart. Just like, no explanation, no new technology. It's just like you've been putting off going to the doctor. And you're like, you know what?
That's all
I'm finally going to get that
That's
done.
all it was.
You know,
procrastinator.
It was just
Yeah.
like, come on. Like, it's just... It pisses me off the most. Okay, so there's the whole thing. It's not tied into the greater universe. It's not tied into its own universe. It's just... It's so asinine. It's just like all they do is completely ignore stuff from the previous movies. The whole thing with like when Rhodey's suit gets taken over, it got taken over in Iron Man 2. You know what he did? He rebooted the system, retook it over,
Yeah.
and they never even acknowledged that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. It's taken over. I mean, it's not like I've never dealt with this before. But yeah, and then okay, yeah, people are mad about the whole Mandarin thing.
That was pretty lame.
That I liked it at first, and then after I thought about it, it's just like he had so much potential to be a much better character.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't know, just all over the place. That whole movie was just like, okay, let's see. You know, the Mandarin is the best example of what's so wrong with that movie.
Yeah.
It's a huge build-up, something that could have been great, and ended up being like a letdown because they wanted it to be
It
a
just
joke
became
instead.
a big fucking joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And although it was pretty hilarious, if you take it for what it is, it's hilarious and it's funny and. Well, no, I can't even say it serves any purpose.
Well, to me, it was funny in the moment, but afterwards, you're like, That sucked. Like, he was so awesome. Like, he's blowing up stuff. The government's got no idea what to do.
Yeah.
He's using people as bombs, and he's like, "You'll never see me coming." He has like this iconic voice, and then it's just like, "Oh no, I'm just an actor." It's just like, just so we can have freaking Guy Pearce. He swore not to do Hollywood movies anymore, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm back. I need a paycheck."
I don't know. Luis makes a good point. Iron Man 3 was really Phase 1 epilogue. I can get behind that then. More than anything else, it was supposed to kick off Phase 2, which in that regard did not do a good job. So
yeah,
agreed on all points.
Oh, Iron Man 3. So anyway, done with Iron Man 3.
Moving on.
Screw you, Iron Man 3, and your cold black heart. And what was the guy's name that directed it? Shane Black?
Shane Black.
Yeah, don't touch anymore, Marvel. Go away. Go direct DC or something.
Go make a Christmas movie somewhere else.
Go make The Martian Manhunter has a Christmas holiday or something. Yeah, The Martian Manhunter stole Christmas. Go make that movie. Leave Marvel alone. But anyway, so there's a rumor that everyone's favorite Dothraki, Jason Momoa, a.k.a. Khal Drogo, is rumored to be... I don't even like addressing rumors, but only because Jason Momoa just amuses me with his choices. But supposedly he's going to be in the Superman-Batman movie because obviously there's not enough characters in that movie yet. So my guess is he's going to be somebody like Lobo, or he might be a villain or something. Or people have been rumored that he might be Doomsday.
I still think, there's the Doomsday thing. I still think he's going to be Black Adam.
Oh, you think so? That would be,
my sinking suspicion that he's going to be Black Adam.
Luis says Vandal Savage. That would also be cool.
Vandal Savage is a good one because that actually allows him to not be the stereotypic buff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, not a whole lot of speaking word villain. But, because Vandal Savage is pretty much like what Jason Momoa wants out of his acting career, to where he played, like, the big hulking savage that ends up controlling his people. But then as the times go on, culture and religion cultivate and blah, 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 he becomes this very learned individual, very smart person, very cunning, very free-speaking person. So that's like perfect for like what Jason Momoa wants out of his, because he doesn't want to be typecast anymore. I don't want to be that big buff guy. That's why I turned down being Drax. Yeah. So Vandal Savage would actually not only allow him to like bring what he was famous for, but then also kind of like expand on that and show people like, hey, I can talk the crap out of you in the acting business, you know?
Yeah.
So Vandal Savage, I wanted him to play Black Adam because I think he's got that look, with a very visceral look, to where he just looks like an angry, mean person, you know. But that he could still show that like softer side, like if they ever introduce Black Adam and then introduce ISIS.
Yeah. I guess that makes me want to, when you put it in that context, if he does take that role, it's like, okay, it doesn't contradict his whole, I don't want to play the big buff guy, I'm going to turn down a Marvel movie that could easily jettison my career into the stratosphere. But, if it's like, okay, if it's like this role is more redefined and it's not going to typecast him further, and it's probably going to be a pretty cool role, then, it's like, all right, I'm happy for that, because I want to see more Khal Drogo on screen just messing things up. He died too soon. R.I.P. Pour some Dornish wine out for him. He says he thinks he can pull up Black Adam better than The Rock. Sir, no one pulls off anything better than The Rock. He is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today.
I don't know why people want The Rock to be Black Adam. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like,
he's The Rock.
Yeah, but it's just
those teeth, man.
He's not
the best
Black
smile.
Adam.
He has the best smile.
I don't want him as Black Adam. I love Black Adam too much. But Black Adam to me is like one of those, like, you always have your favorites, and you don't want just like anybody playing them. Yeah. And to me, The Rock is like anybody.
But he's not just anybody, sir.
No, he is anybody.
No. He's not just Rock. He's The Rock, sir. That
he's
makes
the
him
Rock
somebody.
That you grab a very specific way.
Nah.
Find the nearest pond and just put that spin on it so you can just see it skip across the pond and just sink.
You try to grab The Rock. He reverses that and gives you the rock bottom, followed by the people's elbow in front of the millions and millions of The Rock's fans.
A wise man in Carrie Figueroa once said, Rock being Black Adam is a zzz.
He said what I just said just like 3 seconds ago. Now, do you agree that The Rock would be terrible as Black Adam? But The Rock is not just anybody, sir.
Yes,
I disagree with you. No, he is not, sir. Have you not seen his amazing movies like G.I. Joe's and The Rundown? And what was it? The Tooth Fairy, or is that a Vin Diesel?
I think that was him, the Rock.
Okay, Carrie makes a really compelling point. Arnold Vosloo, who was I forget the freaking name of the villain, but he was in The Mummy. He was the Mummy in The Mummy.
Oh, that guy.
Oh.
He would have been a pretty damn good Black Adam, but also it would have been kind of a typecast because he's playing like this dude from like the Middle East.
Yeah.
You know? With very Middle Eastern looks.
If they brought in the Black Adam, they'd have to bring in the counterpart.
Shazam!
Yeah, they'd have to bring in Billy Batson. They'd have to bring in that Shazam.
They really do need to bring in Shazam anyway. Like, if there's any DC character other than Wonder Woman that needs a solo movie, to me, Shazam is like the no-brainer. Because it's like, obviously they're like, well, we want the kid market. Well, Shazam is like a kid half the time.
Yeah.
He has like the powers of Superman. He actually has an intriguing backstory, unlike the majority of the DC universe. It's just like, oh, well, there you go. Luisa, Shazam is in development. Like, to me, like, that's the one where if they really want, along with 8 other DC movies, well, there you go. Yeah, in
That's the kicker.
I'm sure it's in development until Superman vs. Batman bombs, and they're like, well, we give up. We tap out. But, yeah, I don't know. To me, it just seems like perfect for, like, translation to movies.
Yeah.
And I'm not even that big a fan of the character. It just seems like it could work really well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so anyway. Yeah, Jason Momoa. So I think he'll be good. Not as good as The Rock, but I think, for his income bracket, I think
This is all I got to say about this is all I have to say, honest to God. If you want these movies to be taken, like, seriously, like, much in the same vein as, like, Winter Soldier, the last person you want to cast is The Rock. Because they're going to make it campy. They're going to give him stupid Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes. That's what it's going to be. And you're not going to get that, like, you're not going to find that visceral role that I'm pining for. I'm not going to get what I want out of The Rock. If I thought I would, then I'd be like, yes, The Rock would be a perfect choice, and screw what anyone else thinks. But The Rock is not the man for the job.
Okay, fine. I will concede he shouldn't be in these movies. However,
he shouldn't be in anything.
However,
honestly. That guy is a waste of space.
When Hugh Jackman retires, The Rock could take up the mantle of Wolverine.
Buff Wolverine.
Oh my God. He's like the antithesis of what Wolverine is. Wolverine's like a short, stocky Canuck.
Sir,
he's like 5'3". The guy can barely look over a freaking alcohol counter.
He's a 6-foot-tall Australian, all right? The Rock is just a couple feet taller,
Oh my God.
a little bit more
You're giving
tan,
me a headache.
and he is perfect. Yeah, Rockerine. There you go.
Rockerine. Wow.
Hey, he goes.
That sounds like a Pokemon.
He cast what he wants to be cast as. But anyway, speaking of the X-Men,
Rockerine, use Rock Slide.
sometimes the third one slips. But anyway, so now after, obviously, for those who don't know, I'm sure most of you already know if you listen to the show, Sony's got Spider-Man, Fox has got the X-Men, and Disney's got pretty much everyone else, except for like Namor. Namor is like Universal or some shit. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it's really. The only proof I've seen of that was like some infograph. So I don't know. We're just trying to troll people.
Well, in that sense, like, yeah, because Namor was an Avenger. Technically, I think he is a mutant, and he is part of the Fantastic Four.
But he's not even. But he's like. But I mean, the people that own the rights to him are like someone completely different from everybody else. No, I don't mean it's like universally owned. Like Universal Studios owned like the rights to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just some random studio. Like who decided like, oh man, Namor. That's who we need to buy.
And then not use him.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's just funny. But yeah. So anyway. So Fox is like, we see what you're doing over there, Disney. We got you. We're making our X-Men / Fantastic Four universe. We see what you're doing over there on Netflix with your TV series. You ain't the only TV series in town. So now they're talking about doing an X-Men TV show.
Huh.
So, in a vacuum, an X-Men TV show I think would be fantastic if they did it right. If they did it like, if you're going to do an X-Men TV show, to me, I want it's got to be on HBO. It's got to be like X-Men as you've never seen them before. Like they've got to be able to like push the limit, do something crazy, like really deep, like dark, like stories or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's Fox.
It only sounds like this. Anyways.
Or maybe on A&E, maybe.
A&E would be interesting, yeah.
Melanie says triple X-Men. Well, that's on the DVD release. But oh man, that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, if they were bringing back the X-Men the animated series, I would go to Fox Studios right now and just give a hug to the president. I mean, they'd probably drag me out with their guards, be like, "Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's been over." Yeah, no, right. It just like just sprays me in the eyes with pepper spray. I'm like, "Sorry, sir. I've grown immunity.
I have no regrets.
yeah, no, right. Yeah, it's like all my bones are broken. I regret nothing. But I don't know. An X-Men TV show could be good. You know, it's funny because I think a TV show has more potential to be better than like a movie. Because like TV now, like we're kind of in like a golden age of TV. Like yes, there's all this reality TV crap.
Yeah.
But it's like some of the best TV is coming out now. So I think if they get the right production team and development team, like the right writer, director, producer, etc. You know, I think it actually has potential to be really good. I actually threw this article in there just so I can talk shit, but now that I'm thinking about it, like it actually has potential to be really good. Like, I don't know, I made myself excited. And no, not in that way. But, okay. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the chat. But, yeah, so, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how they do it, because obviously with anything, the whole thing is like, what is the execution and how they decide to actually do these things. Mm-hmm. And until they start saying like, okay, this is who's going to write it, and because if it ends up being like Ryan Singer or somebody like that, I'm just done. So I hope that they bring in the right people. I mean, at the very least, if it's like someone like, I don't know, someone who's worked on like Sons of Anarchy or Breaking Bad or even Walking Dead, it'd be like, all right, you know, someone who at least has like experience writing and producing like a really good TV show.
Yeah.
But if they're like, oh, we're gonna bring in the
Kurt
same
Sutter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Can you imagine being a mutant in this world all alone? Got to blast dry straight. But anyway, but if they bring in like the production team from like Heroes or something, it's just gonna be terrible. So it has potential. I'm still very, 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 very cautious about what can come of it. So I don't know, but what I am excited about, I want to say it's next year that the shows are coming with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage.
Okay.
But pretty much their whole thing is that they're trying. Well, oh yeah, that's what it was. So they announced that like, oh, by the way, just in case you guys didn't already assume correctly, they're gonna be part of the cinematic universe. I remember reading that. I'm like, okay, I thought that was the entire point. You know, that's like if they just put out like an article like, by the way, I didn't know if you know, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is part of the cinematic universe too. It's like, really? Is that why they keep having all these cameos? So okay, Louis says 2015, so I gotta wait a whole another year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But oh man, but they said like they're gonna be at least the Daredevil one is gonna be kind of noir style, which is kind of exactly what I wanted, like really gritty, just like crime drama. So, Louis says, he thought that there were people that actually thought that there weren't. So, Carrie says he hopes Daredevil gets the justice that he needs. So, in other words, that means they need to recast Ben Affleck and make sure that he's there. Make sure that we get the best Daredevil movie we could possibly get.
Nice.
But I don't know. I'm just excited. I don't know. How does everybody else feel? Are you excited? So excited you just can't hide it?
Yes. Well, I mean, as far as the TV shows go, I'm really excited for the Iron Fist one.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing where the Jessica Jones one will go because I think that one's going to be the hardest one to gain traction.
Jessica Jones?
Yeah. And I think it's more because she's just an obscure character.
No one knows who she is?
Yeah, she's very unknown. And in that sense, I think it was a very poor choice because, honestly, you could have gone with...
Everyone Heroes Rise?
You could have gone with Carol Danvers or even Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. So you could, I don't know. I think there was better females to pick, especially since Jessica Jones ties directly into Luke Cage. So you could just have those stories combined.
I think that's why they picked her, though, because like she ties directly into Luke Cage, he ties directly into Iron Fist, and they more or less tied to Daredevil. So I think it's just like to make it easier to have all the universes combined, where it's like their stories are already overlapping more or less. I think that's kind of why they picked her, because it's like if they would have picked Jessica Drew like Spider-Woman, sure, she's like that character that's at that level.
Yeah.
But she's not necessarily like somebody who would be like, hey, down the street, like, hey, this is who I need to help me fight the Kingpin or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not who.
Well, Louis says, I'd say she's more known than you think because of Alias. Well, among comic fans, yes, but who are the people that binge watch TV shows? It's just gonna if we're just going with pure Netflix subscribers. you're gauging the entirety, or you're trying to gauge the entirety of the Netflix audience, which is like, what, 8 million subscribers, something like that? Maybe
Something
more?
like
Yeah.
You know?
Sounds about right.
So when you put it in that context, yeah, she's going to be the least known, and you're basically Marvel Disney. They're going to be banking that when people read that description, they're going to see the big red and white Marvel logo. Like, oh, hey, this is a Marvel TV show. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that, but I mean, all these characters, even though like Daredevil's the most popular, but he has this horrendous like taint to his name already. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I know they're going to be pushing the Marvel brand, but I think they're going to also expect like new people to discover these series anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole thing where it's like everything that's on Netflix, with the exception of what's it called again? The movie with the show with Michael Cera.
The show? Oh, Arrested Development?
Yeah, other than Arrested Development, all these are brand new properties.
Yeah.
So it's like, and they've done exceptionally well. So it's like, here's a property that's pre-existing, but even if people don't know about it, there's still a good chance of it, finding an audience. And I think that's kind of the thing Marvel's done successfully with all their properties. It's like they've taken these characters that are pretty much B-list characters and made them like these huge names. And I think Jessica Jones is someone they could do that with. I've not even read any of her comics, but I think that there's that potential there. So I think that's why they chose her over probably some other characters who probably have bigger names and more like fan recognition.
Yeah.
But I think she just like meshes well, and they feel like, well, here's somebody no one else really knows about. We can do so much with her,
Yeah.
But I like to dub the Iron Man effect, excluding Iron Man 3.
Yeah, it's good for like the general audience to know the characters more.
Yeah.
To get more involved.
And I think also what makes it really good is how you don't like most people don't already have like an image of what they want Jessica Jones to be. So for a lot of people, this is their first exposure, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's like, well, this is always going to be the Jessica Jones they know. Like,
yeah, because if people want to know more, then they're going to find something like Alias, like Louise said.
Yeah,
and Alias is an incredible comic series. If you haven't read it, highly suggest it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like they're not fighting against like something that people already have like an idea. It's not like they don't have to deal with what Man of Steel went through.
Right.
Where everyone's like, oh man, this isn't my Superman. Superman wouldn't break a dude's neck, blah, blah, blah. They're just like, oh.
Yeah, there's no
Jones.
iconography behind
yeah,
them.
it's like Jessica Jones is brand new, so they can kind of like take her in whatever direction they want.
Yeah.
Obviously, they still have the comic book fanboys and be like, oh, that is not in continuity.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing that you're gonna have to worry about because in that sense, like, they're kind of banking that if it does do good, despite whatever continuity issues it may or may not suffer, because I think people have to realize, especially comic fans have to realize, that this is its own. It's part of the cinematic universe, so it's its own continuity. Right. So if they redo the origins, you don't have to accept it, but to a degree, you have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
In that sense. So if the show starts off and it's not quite what they were expecting because it didn't follow 616 canon, and then they start telling them, yeah, don't bother checking it out. It's not even faithful to the stuff, So it's up to the people that are getting that non-recommendation to like watch it anyways and see like, hey, I like it. I don't know what I've never read the comic, but I like this version of it. So there's a lot of different obstacles you have to look at when you're using these new characters.
Yeah. I was watching the chat, and they were asking, like, who would play Matt Murdock. And so I told them, there were rumors that Michael C. Hall was going to play him.
Yeah, Dexter.
yeah,
From
Dexter.
The show Dexter.
Yeah, the show that you love, because acting's great and the writing is fantastic.
This show's nuts.
I've never seen it, but I've heard things.
Yeah, that's just it. It's like you hear things, not good things, not bad things, because it all culminates the entirety of the series.
And some like it and some don't. It's like a
mix. It's one of those things. It's not great. It has moments, and I think the concept of it is interesting, but there are just like some major pitfalls of it. Like I've watched the first season, and it was entertaining. I enjoyed it, but to me, it's just like, okay, like knowing like actually about like the whole thing about like serial killers and just like people that have like psychopathy and stuff like that. Or just like when you like read these news stories, like, well, if only this person would have got help, he wouldn't have ended up being a killer. So the whole thing is like Dexter experiences this traumatic thing, which is what makes him like have these intentions to want to like harm animals. So the dad already knows that he's going to become like a serial killer.
Yeah.
So he instead of like a responsible human being, and this guy's a cop first of all. So you think you'd already know this, like, my son seems like he might become a serial killer. Let me get him some therapy. No. He's just like, well, we're going to find a way to channel this instead. And he just, like, lets him, like, go out and hunt and kill stuff and stuff. He's just like, you're the worst parent ever.
Makes his son a villain.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, it would have at least made sense if he, like, if there was, like,
Well, the thing was, like, instead of getting him, like, the help he needed, regardless of what time period he grew up in, you know, psychologist was a very real thing for him to seek help. He helps name his disease, and like, oh, we'll call it the dark passenger. Like, oh, okay, I have the dark passenger. That's what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And now I have to keep the dark passenger in check. So, like, once you give a thing a name, then you're emotionally tied to it.
Not helping.
Regardless if it's good or bad, there's still an emotional tie to that.
I think
you've just in this case, you've just exacerbated the situation. You know?
I think to me, like, what would have been really cool if it was, like, going somewhere where the reason why he's training his son to do this is because he had plans for him, and he's making it seem like, oh, I totally care about you, kid. But really, he was, like, a dirty cop, and he just wanted to use him as, like, a hitman.
Yeah.
That would have been badass.
To, like, rub out, like, all the people that had dirt on him and stuff like that.
Something like that. That would have been awesome, because it would have been, like, if all of a sudden, like, he thinks, like, if he, like, faked his death, and he's like, oh, my dad's dead, and, I've been doing all this stuff, and really, he's been, like, pulling the strings the whole time. Yeah. He's like, I got you, sucker. And then he kills his dad. And he's all sad. He's like, I have to kill you because my dark passenger said so. I don't know. But I just felt like if there was, like, another layer for why he was doing this, would have made more sense. Or even, like, a throwaway line like, well, I can't take this kid to therapy. Stab the therapist. Like, something like that. But it's like, that's probably should be your first thing, not, oh, hey, son, kill this squirrel. You know, let me enable you even more.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That to me was kind of, like, the biggest thing about it.
Yeah, Luis said it was a dark passenger because in the novels he was actually possessed by a demon, but they ignored the demon part in the show, but kept the dark passenger name. I understand that, but it just still doesn't like justify like giving him the name. Like, hey, this is from a cool novel. We're gonna give you the name. Like, I don't know, that part like just didn't make sense to me. It's like you're giving him the name, so now it's like almost like you're giving him kind of like a license. To go out and do these things. Yeah. I don't know. And then, like,
James Bond.
You know, a lot of people hate this character, especially Hibiki, my wife. And you probably side with me, but I forget his name, but he was the black cop that, like, he knew who it was the whole time.
Of course it was the black guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
and then they just like rub him out of the whole series, and I was just kind of like,
spoilers.
Really, that dude? Come on! Like, and I actually liked him just because like he didn't take shit from anybody.
Okay, this is my problem with the character. So if you were at work at your place of employment and you suspected a guy of being a serial killer, are you going to start getting in his face and be like, "I know what you are, you freak! You're a serial killer!" Like. Oh, wait.
Well, okay.
So so you suspect that he's murdering people and you want to provoke this guy? Like, really? You don't want to be subtle about it and just pretend like, oh, I have no idea and try and catch him in the act?
To be fair, this is Florida.
not even the Florida defense will defend this man. Because that, I don't know.
It worked for the zombie-eating guy and the dude on horseback.
But this guy is supposed to be an intelligent police officer. Like, this is not a very good...
That's as high as intelligence goes in Florida.
But this is a guy that's, like done, like, overseas, like, special ops, like, black ops missions. Like, his propensity to know how to survive should be a lot higher than that.
Yeah,
like, he's not the type of person who plays in traffic, you know? He's the type of guy who looks both ways. So, speaking of death, so Marvel Comics, they're coming out here with a big one. They're really trying to change up the game. So they have a new comic book series that's called The Death of Wolverine. So first of all, I'm going to lay out my predictions. One, I don't think they're actually going to kill Wolverine off. They think they might kill his quote-unquote character, and he's just going to be James Howlett or Logan or whatever name he wants to go by now. But like,
they're going to kill.
Yeah, they're
going to kill the character, but not the person.
Yeah, exactly. Because as a symbol, he can be more than just a mutant, and he'll be incorruptible. But it's just like he's tied into like 50 different Marvel comics, and even if they do kill him, like what? They're gonna like at most a year he'll be dead.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. If they do really have the balls and they really do kill him, and like we get a whole year without Wolverine in the Marvel Universe, and not that I don't like Wolverine, like, love him in the animated series.
Yeah.
But Wolverine's saturation needs to end. It is a disease that is ruining Marvel. So, I don't know. If they actually do kill him off, like, legit, and it's not like some lame cop-out where he's in a healing coma or something lame like that, then it's like, okay, I can buy it and I'll be excited.
They pull him out of the time stream.
Yeah, right. They should have him get hit by an Omega Beam and have to fight his way back through time.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Maybe it'll like tie into when Hugh Jackman retires the character.
Yeah, so that's what people are saying, which is kind of lame. It's just like, why does the movie should have anything to do with the comics that most moviegoers don't read anyway?
True.
Or maybe they should just bring him back as Hugh Jackman. Like, all of a sudden there's another mutant with claws called Wolverine. It's like, I'm the real Wolverine.
Talking in his Australian accent.
Yeah. Did you ever see the original X-Men TV show? It was like Pride of Kitty. And Wolverine actually did have an Australian accent.
I don't think I've ever saw that.
Oh, man, you gotta watch it. It is epic. But, but I don't know. It just seems like more of it. Well, then again, all of Marvel's like advanced recently have seemed like gimmicks. But this one especially. It's just like really like you're a cash cow. You're really gonna kill this dude. So I just don't see it.
He's got like 3 of his own single comics out
Yeah,
right now.
like are they just gonna? Are they all gonna give them all to X-23?
Maybe.
You know, is what Draken or whatever is he gonna come back? Dakin. Or they? Oh, I was gonna say, are they gonna bring Ultimate Wolverine to the 616 universe? I think they killed him already too.
Well, they killed Wolverine, but then they brought in like his clone or something like that.
They're probably gonna have like how like when Captain America retired, it was like U.S. Agent, and they're just gonna have like U.S. Wolverine or something. This is Wolverine in a black suit.
Because Cap becomes Nomad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he doesn't wear anything. He just keeps his cap shield. I don't even remember. That was so long ago.
I think Wolverine is just gonna turn into Ronin, and he's gonna just be he's gonna be like Kane from Kung Fu. But
he's traveling, beating up street slums,
yeah,
street
right.
urchins. You're a hobo. Give that woman her money back.
Yeah. It's gonna be like Dirty Laundry. He's gonna be like the Punisher,
but not the Punisher.
Yeah,
because it's not licensed.
Oh, Carrie says Dakin is coming back, or is making.
I thought he got
back.
his neck snapped.
You don't need a neck. Hey, dead is dormant.
You know,
sir.
it's funny.
Dead
like me being
dormant.
angry at that is pointless because how many times has Wolverine got burned to a crisp?
Well, what
he's literally like he got burned down to the bone.
Yeah.
In by Nitro.
Yeah, it was literally
in Civil War.
I think they said the bone.
And
marrow.
now his flesh grew back like the Titans in Attack on Titan.
3 panels. 3 panels. He came back, and he's like still a skeleton, and there's like dialogue coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
What?
Because like
Beetle
Beetle
and the Argonauts.
yeah. It's like Beetle doesn't read a whole lot of comics, but one that he did read was the Darkness Wolverine crossover.
Yeah,
and Darkness lops Wolverine's ear off, and then they're talking about like how long does it take that to grow back, and he's like, oh, like my ear takes 40 minutes to grow back. He was like, that's so cool that you put like a timestamp on those kinds of things. Like, okay, 40 minutes for an ear. You would think the whole body would probably take
like days.
Oh yeah, days or even weeks depending on the damage, even months to a degree. But yeah, he comes back and it's like everything's just like remaking itself. Like if you think like the Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man, where like his arm gets shotgunned off and it just everything starts like growing back.
Yeah, it's just like
in
in real time.
Yeah.
Melanie says maybe his heart dies and Jean Grey comes back to life and rejects him again.
Oh.
She's like, I came all the way from death just to tell you no. And he goes, Jean! Yarico!
Yeah, and the last thing he says before he dies is like, my healing factor can fix almost anything, but it can't mend a broken heart.
And then he just chops his own head off.
Gene. Yeah, and he just chops his head off.
Forever in the friend zone.
Carrie says mutant zoned. You know, even in like the alternate universes,
is the best chat ever.
It's like he still doesn't get with Jean. It's like even in Age of Apocalypse, he gets with Storm. It's like not even here.
No, in Age of Apocalypse, he gets with Jean.
I thought he did get with Storm. Was it with Jean? Because I know Cyclops is with Sinister. And who gets with Storm then? Luis says Wolverine has no healing factor anymore.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't. Well, why was it though? I never understood
Probably the
that.
Phoenix Force or something.
Because when I was reading X-Men, adjectiveless X-Men. He pops in every now and then I think also even in Uncanny X-Force, in both those comics, there was mentions here and there that Wolverine's healing factor didn't work anymore. So I didn't understand why that was.
I'm sure some convoluted plot that has to do with him being a mutated wolf or some garbage like that from Scott Loeb. Louise says,
he did hook up with Jean in Ultimate X-Men.
So
but as far as like a relationship goes,
so I'm talking about the 6'6" universe proper.
As far as relationships go,
universe.
I think they did have a standing relationship in Age of Apocalypse.
Some microbe organism took it away in last year's Wolverine volume. See, I'm done with this topic.
Microbe? A microbe can alter your genes?
Well, if a gene can give you powers, then why not?
Well, yeah, the gene itself, but a microbe. We're talking about a microbe.
Yeah. Hey, if Tony Stark can make gamma leaching satellites, then why can't a microbe take away Wolverine's healing factory?
I guess.
Healing factory. I can't even talk anymore. Hey, Jordan Luke is back. Welcome back. And I'm Yala, and I'm nobody's bitch. But anyway, moving along to other more heartfelt topics. Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight, never running from a real fight. She's a one named Sailor Moon, and she's gonna be rebooted. Oh, here it comes.
Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by
Lyrics here.
daylight.
Never running from a real fight. She's the one named Sailor Moon. She will never turn her back on a friend. She's always there to defend. She's the one named Sailor Moon. Oh, that's my favorite part. Sailor Venus.
Alright, let's play.
Sailor Mercury. Sailor Mars. Sailor Jupiter. Alright, we're done. But anyway, I don't really watch Sailor Moon despite the fact that I sing the theme song. But I just brought it up because the theme song is the best part, in my opinion, and then the show starts and it kind of goes downhill from there. But for those of you who like Sailor Moon and are willing to admit that you like Sailor Moon, it's going to be called The Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal, which kicks off on July 5th, streamed internationally via Nico Nico video service. So I don't know what the hell that is, but the first and third Saturdays at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, so you have to wake up really early to catch this Sailor Scout. But, yeah, so they're bringing it back. I think it's kind of funny how, like, at the same time, like, Dragon Ball Z is coming back.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're like, well, we don't know how to make any more new anime, so we're just going to bring back these old ones. They served us well in the past. So it's this classic, what's new is old. So
What's old is
what's
old is new.
what's old is still old.
What is dead may never die.
Yeah, it rises stronger and harder. It's actually how the rest of the quote goes. But yeah, so Sailor Moon's back. Check it out if you care. I'll post a link because I know there's at least one of you in there like, dude, I'm so excited for Sailor Jupiter. She's so hot right now. But I don't know, like. It was funny, like, the most I've watched of Sailor Moon was the Nostalgia Critic, like, reviewing it, and it was just so bad. Like, it was worse than I even could have remembered. It's like, this show is awful. But he's like, it does have one saving grace, and he started playing the theme song, and it was, like, stuck in my head for, like, 2 weeks, no joke. It's like, that theme song is hella catchy. Like, if we could find the people that made it and have them make our theme song, it'd be great. Be like, Prometheus, Agamemnon, never turn your back on a podcast. I don't know. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But going back to the previous thing, Luis has dropped some knowledge. So that during those events, a solo mission left Wolverine infected with a, quote, intelligent virus hailing from the microverse.
Wow.
While his healing factor purges the infection from his body, the viral agent was still able to suppress Wolverine's healing factor, leaving him in a search for a cure.
Wow.
So they had to invent an entire verse, like an entire universe.
I want to say the microverse actually did exist already, and if it didn't, then it does now.
Maybe that's where Sublime
There's nothing
came
we can
from.
do about that. So.
Hey, they can just kill it off.
I think that's what the healing factor did. Was like, before I go, I'll do you this one solid.
Maybe he should have just went to a Japanese guy that could give it back and be like, you don't want what I got, bub. So speaking of Marvel plot lines, okay, the microverse has been down. Oh, okay, in Fantastic Four books. Okay, sorry, I should have specified. In Marvel books that I like and that matter. But no, that actually does definitely sound like a Reed Richards thing. In that case, you just go to Reed Richards and be like, hey, do you have an Ex Machina device that can just get rid of this for me? So oh, wait, hold on. Let me see what
somewhere
I
on
have.
that shelf over there.
Yeah, right. It's just like
I invented it 10 minutes ago.
It's just like this huge shelf of like Bendis Deus Ex Machina. And he's just like, here you go. Just gives him an injection. It's like, you didn't even read what was on the syringe. Doesn't matter.
I knew I made this for a reason.
Yeah,
like cobwebs and everything inside.
Yeah. There you go.
What?
My Wolverine.
It's like an EpiPen.
Yeah. Carrie says, or talk to Hank Pym. Have a bug eat the virus. Hey, one bug can kill another.
See, if I was Hank Pym and Wolverine came to me, I'd be like, here, eat all these grub worms. And while he's sitting there like snacking on grub worms like peanuts, he's like, are these supposed to be like... Hey, he's like, no, I just wanted to see if you'd eat them.
He's like, these are... It's like, you're actually allergic to those. You're about to die.
I'm the one that brought the microverse infection. He starts revealing his plot. It's like, I'm not just a wife beater. I'm also an evil genius.
And I'm also a Skrull.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
I'm also Paul Rudd.
Unfortunately. So, moving on to other Marvel plot lines that just have us so excited about shoehorn plots. Well, this one is legit. Okay, so maybe the microverse has existed for the last decade or so. But this is straight just... Oh my god, just like, come on, guys. Okay, so basically they've announced at C2E2, which I guess is a new Star Wars robot, that Angela, that hailed once from from the Image universe, from the pages of Spawn. Yes, Spawn's actually still around. I saw it in the comic store today. Co-created by Neil Gaiman and Todd McFarlane. They're like, hey, we got this awesome idea. Now that he has the rights to her, we're going to put her in the Marvel universe. Okay, cool. Guardians of the Galaxy.
It was pretty dope for like the first 7 issues.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, that's cool. It's like, but we're not done yet. We ain't Marvel unless we're retconning.
Yeah.
So Angela is going to be the sister of Thor and Loki.
I don't understand why that even has to be a thing. Like, why does she even have to be related to anybody? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It's just so pointless. I understand if maybe at the end it turns out where it's like, well, she thought she was related. Someone lied to her. She never went to Ancestry.com and really found out the truth. Like,
yeah.
If it was just maybe like something just to stir up trouble. Okay, Luis says stepsister. I thought it was only Loki's stepsister since he's not really...
it's not blood related.
Yeah. Well, either way. Okay, well, it says, I guess I should actually read the
okay,
article.
I also have another side question. Is Angela was Neil's gift to Marvel... Does that mean that Marvel completely owns Angela now, or does Gaiman still like have rights over her? And you're like, hey, I can snatch her up in a heartbeat.
I would be very surprised if he fought for years against Todd McFarlane to get the rights, only to give the rights to Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be. I wouldn't be that surprised, but I would be a little bit shocked because it would not really make any sense to me if he didn't keep the rights. Okay, Marvel owns Angela. So it really did. He was just like, thanks for the rights. Hey, Marvel, you want these rights just to spite Todd McFarlane?
That's so... Why? I'm at a loss for words. I just don't... That doesn't make sense. Like, you're fighting all these years, and like this thing,
It's like the funny thing about Angela too is like she was in like less than like 10 comics.
Yeah,
like all together. Like she like debuted in Spawn. She was cool. Especially when you're 13. It's like, oh man, she's hot. And she's got red hair and she kills
she can wield
demons.
A sword from heaven.
Yeah, I mean, it's like now it's just like she's such a relic of the 90s. It's like, who cares? Who even remembers her?
Yeah.
Like literally, like when they announced like Angela was coming to Marvel, did you have to like go look her up to realize like who she even was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I did.
Like what do you even know who
I remember
Angela
her
is?
from the Spawn arcade
really
game.
Yeah.
That we used to play on Dreamcast.
Yeah, it's like unless you play the video game or you actually are one of the people that are like, oh man, Image Comics, they're taking over. Like I was growing up, you don't know who she is, and you don't give a shit because like, she's such a pointless comic. Okay, the reason why is Marvel backed up Neil while he fought Todd, sir. So he's guessing that's his way of saying thanks. But it's just like, thanks for helping me to get this. Now I'm going to give you. It's just like it would be like if your employer helped you get a settlement from like somebody else, and then all the money you got from the settlement you just gave to them. It's like, okay, well you helped, but I'm taking this money. Like I got comics to buy, shit. So I don't know, but so I don't know. I can see him just doing that just to spite Todd McFarlane, but at the same time, it just seems like that's such a waste. But either way, yeah, I have no idea why they would make him. And I don't know. In the article, it says that she'll be revealed as the long-lost daughter of Odin and sister/stepsister of Thor and Loki. And she came from the 10th realm in the 36 chambers of Wu-Tang.
See, that would actually be interesting.
Yeah, no, right. She's played by the RZA because he plays every martial artist now.
And then it's revealed that she was actually from the 37th chamber.
See, that I could get behind. That would be awesome. It's just all of a sudden it's like, Wu-Tang brothers, I got something to tell you. Not only we nothing to fuck with, but there's a 37th chamber.
Killer bees.
And that chamber is hot. Yeah. And some bees are stinging me and they really hurt. I don't know, but it just, I don't know, it's just dumb. It's just like, come on. Like, it to me, it's up there with their whole thing where like, well, we're never going to have Ultimate Spider-Man be in the Spider-Man universe until we run out of ideas. Like 10 years later, we ran out of ideas. Yeah. They're hanging out now. They're eating pizza. But it seems like the same thing. We're like, let's retcon. Because the whole thing is like they're supposed to be like from a mythos. Like they're actual Norse gods. I'm not an expert on Norse gods, but the last time I checked, Angela was not a Norse god. If I'm wrong, chat, please correct me. But I don't know of Angela being a Norse god. So it's just stupid. But, you know, actually on the upside, what I do like about it is all of the people that got mad at, like, Idris Elba playing Heimdall are going to flip their shit at Angela being, like, Loki or Thor's sister. Like, no, that's not... You guys are making fun of her religion. She is not... First of all, none of the Norse gods have red hair, and this is an abomination.
Well, okay, so the people that would get angry at that are, like, white supremacists.
I know they're white supremacists, but I'm sure...
Second of all, a very finite amount, I'm sure, actually read comics to the degree where it's going to gain that enough... Because the only reason why Idris Elba playing Heimdall was because it was a movie, so it's got a lot more exposure.
No, don't worry. I'm going to find their blog and link them the article.
But you're go out of your way
Yep.
to troll them.
Yes.
I fear for your life,
because
sir.
I drink in their misery, and it tastes... like sweet, cold apple juice.
I thought you were going to say something about like a Game of Thrones with like a sweet Dornish wine or something.
I don't know. I was actually thirsty, so that's what I went with. Tastes like sweet butter. But anyway, so so there's another article. So everyone's favorite Oscar award losing Leonardo DiCaprio is apparently going to be in yet another Steve Jobs movie. So I believe this is going to be like the third Steve Jobs movie since Steve Jobs died. Because I know there's Ashton Kutcher, and then there's one that was, I don't even know who was in that one, but and really those movies did so well. They're like, you know what? You know we need DiCaprio. He's going to be a good Steve Jobs. Yeah. And it just, I don't know. It seems kind of funny to me. Louis says he wished Idris Elba was Black Panther. That'd be cool because he'd actually have like, I don't know, a movie to be in. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. I mean, I understand Steve Jobs has a really interesting life, and obviously, like we have, or at least I have an iPhone. So it's like even in death, he still is like
has a name.
Yeah, and his name is Steve Jobs.
I think secretly they're planning to make iMovies. It's like the third one now.
It is. I think so. I think it is the third one.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean, it's just like I understand he's influential and he kind of died untimely. So it's like he's an important person.
I don't know that it was untimely. He had that sickness for a few years.
Yeah, but I wanted him to at least live until like the iPhone 6 or something.
That's what you could rant about it. Be angry about it.
It'll come out anyways.
Yeah, it would come out anyway, man.
Bet it wouldn't have been as good. Do you know how many more features would have been crammed in there had Jobs been alive right now?
How much smaller it would have been?
Do you know how much my stock dropped now that he's dead?
Probably does very little work, actually.
Well, I think his whole job, anyway, like from the little bit I know about him, was like people credit him as being like this genius, but I heard he was pretty much just like an asshole, and he'd have like people like work, and he'd be like, work harder, like that's his contribution.
The whip.
pretty much.
Obey the Hypnotoad.
He was pretty much just like the modern day like slave driver, just like make these really good or I will beat you to death.
Yeah.
Carrie says Pirates of Silicon Valley was the greatest Steve Jobs film ever. I've never seen that one.
Yeah, that was like a TNT special.
Was that the one with Bill Gates in it too?
Yeah, that's what it was all about. The whole thing.
Where he just rips him off.
Yeah, Bill Gates screwing him over.
Good old Gates.
Well, I'll make the Lisa. That's all I remember from that movie.
So I don't know. I mean, I never really had that much interest in the other ones. Like Ashton Kutcher looked like Steve Jobs,
Yeah.
But I never
No,
wanted
but
to...
no. I think it was Noah Wiley that actually played Steve Jobs in Pirates of Silicon Valley. It was good, and that movie came out. I think I was in high school when that movie came out.
Yeah.
Like it was probably like 2001, 2002, and it was a pretty good movie, especially for being like, TNT doesn't really go out of their way a whole lot to make this like special made for TV movie. And then here they are with like Pirates of Silicon Valley, and it was good. It was really good. It was really enthralling. It was very fun to watch. Very interesting.
Was it sort of like a... Did you ever see King of Kong?
Oh yeah, no, it's not like a documentary style. It's kind of like it's just a telling of the history because they knew each other before they became real big. So just kind of showing like how their lives intersected with each other when they were young, and then like the work they did together, and then like the Montreal screw job, I'll call it, and then them going off and making their own companies.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like the history of the early days of Silicon Valley, pretty much, but mostly just kind of like focusing on Steve Jobs and Bill Gates.
Back in the old country. But I don't know. To me, it's like I never give a crap about Ashton Kutcher being Steve Jobs. Other than the fact that he looked like him.
Yeah.
He looks like him. But I had no desire to see the movie. But if Leo actually is going to play him, it's like, all right, I'll go see it because Leo has not let me down. And especially if there's Quaaludes in that movie,
Yeah.
they got my $10. So, Carrie says Bill Gates was the antagonist of the film. Dude, Bill Gates is the antagonist of life.
Yeah.
You know what? That actually brings me to our next topic. That even that the U.S. government, they've warned everyone not to use Internet Explorer until they fix the bug that will just destroy your entire computer. I don't know. I don't know what
still using that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
It's almost like you use it, you deserve whatever you get. But it's just like, I hate Microsoft so much. And it's not just because they're bad. It's like, okay, it's not because, they're the big evil, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, they make stuff like Internet Explorer. They pretty much like have it in all of their operating systems. And it's like, okay, you can get any other browser for free that is better. So that tells me that they easily have the resources to pay people to make a better browser. Just literally just one day, white van, kidnap some Mozilla developers, take them to Seattle, make Internet Explorer, send them back out with some money, and have a good IE. Like, it's not that hard, I mean, they have billions of dollars. It's not like... I'm pretty sure that people that know how to program aren't, like... running away from jobs at Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like Microsoft's like headhunting. They're like, dude, we want you to work for Microsoft. And like, nah, man, Linux for life. Okay. Maybe there are some people like that, but I'm sure there's still plenty of people that are probably out of work now that would love to create a better Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can't make one just absolutely just like, oh, man, it makes me so angry. So
For those that want like a little, I don't know, kind of like an Easter egg, I guess, like funny thing about... kind of like the feud between Mozilla, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. I'm going to post this in the chat. But it's called the Book of Mozilla. And all the patch updates from when the people that worked in Mozilla used to work on Netscape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When that was Netscape Navigator. Mm-hmm. And I think was that under Microsoft at that time?
Netscape?
I don't remember. Well, anyways, in the patch updates, they would always make these little things about the Book of Mozilla. And nobody knew what the hell it meant. But there's subtle references in there because it sounds like when you just take it for what it is in the text, it sounds very demonic, and you think it's like very like anti-Christian. So it's just kind of like, oh man, these guys are like devil worshippers. But like all the words are like references towards like Mozilla. I mean, not Mozilla, towards Microsoft and Internet Explorer and stuff like that. So it's all one big jab at MSN and Internet Explorer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man!
So it's just funny, man. But the only thing I can find right now is about Wikipedia. But I just found out about this myself like 2 days ago, and I think it was on one of these parody websites. I don't know. Maybe it might have been Cracked. I don't know.
The Onion?
No, I don't read the Onion. But it was one of these. But it was just talking about like all the things, like this hilarity behind it. And I was like reading it, and I got all into it, and I was like, man, this sounds really demonic. And then I've read the rest of the article afterwards, and I was like, oh, it's a big jab at Internet Explorer and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so it's because like it mentions like Mammon a lot, and I guess Mammon stands for Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
So it's like like the Beast and all this stuff that you would find like in Revelations.
In the end times, the only browser was Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
The
So a
internet
lot of stuff
slowed
like
to a
that, but it
crawl.
actually kind of chronologizes everything that happened with Internet Explorer and
Yeah.
with Mozilla Firefox. So.
It's like they hired Russell Crowe to build an ark to save the internet.
And now here I am using Chrome.
Nice. Yeah, I've kind of switched over to Chrome as well. Carrie says, no joke, but his professor told him about it today, and she used Internet Explorer until her laptop shedded itself last week. So there you go.
Wow.
So I don't know. It's like I understand like people that aren't like very or even like remotely computer savvy and they don't know that there are other browsers out there. I feel bad for them because they don't know like what they're missing out on and they're just forced to use crappy software. But if you know and you still choose to use Internet Explorer, I'm sorry. Whatever bug destroys your computer, you deserve because there's just no reason. It's just so terrible.
It's usually like a last resort.
Yeah, sometimes like some pages will only load well in the Internet Explorer. Like it's okay to have around, but it's like if that's your primary browser, like come on, y'all, you deserve better. You deserve better. And I think it was Jordan that mentioned WaterFox, which I didn't even know that was a thing until now. I thought he was just trolling, but that just sounds funny to me.
WaterFox?
Yeah,
like an actual animal.
No, it's like
it's kind of browser.
It's like it's from Naruto, I think. I think it's like the 10-tailed water fox.
That was very dry, sir. I applaud you.
Sir, how can it be dry? It's water.
Dried up delivery.
We know delivery. But anyway, okay, it's WaterFox is a 64-bit version of WaterFox.
I don't think you were supposed to read that. I think you were correct.
Yeah, no, right. I think you probably meant 64-bit version of Firefox, but it sounds even funnier than that.
Best unintentional troll comment.
Unsuccessful troll has been successful. So we started off talking about the Raid Redemption and how great it is and how it's the best movie ever. So obviously, with great foreign films comes not so great American remakes. So
Old boy.
Oh God. But yeah, so obviously for whatever reason, the guy that's going to be directing, the red-hot Australian director, Patrick Hughes, who's going to be directing Expendables 3, decided, like, hey, let me go ahead and take this action masterpiece, The Raid, and bring it over for American audiences. So, like, okay, you know, they did that with Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You know, it was fairly well-received. I never saw it, but it was, you know, as far as I know, it was well-received.
Yeah. I saw that movie. It was pretty decent. I liked
Pretty
it.
decent?
Yeah.
I still need to watch it. Actually, I'm actually intrigued to watch it because I like Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
You know, Bond, James Bond.
I mean, it is a little bit for like a more mature audience.
Oh yeah.
It's very like dark and gloomy and almost depressing.
Yeah. It's very, very dark. I'm trying to think of like other American remakes that were actually halfway decent. If anyone can think of any, because I can't.
Okay, I didn't see it, but I heard Let Me In was okay.
Okay.
Let the Right One In is an excellent
Okay,
movie.
so I did see the remake. I haven't seen the original. So we'll say that one was pretty decent. And even then, it wasn't that great. But either way, it's just like, okay, for a movie like The Raid, it's like, okay, like to me, if it's like a thriller or a drama, like obviously American movies can do that well.
I think Vanilla Sky was another one where
okay.
the Tom Cruise version was like awful.
You know, I actually liked Vanilla Sky.
Did you ever see the original one? That thing was like Spanish.
Open Your Eyes.
version.
It's like Abre la Ojos or something like that. Okay, The Departed. Okay, there you go. But that was Scorsese. It's like Italian or something.
The Departed was a remake?
It's a remake of a Korean movie called Infernal Affairs.
Wow, I need to see that one because I love The Departed.
Yeah.
I only recently I can't believe that like this one. The Departed for me was one of those movies where like once you watch it and because it's so old, you wonder. Well, I was wondering like how the hell did this movie get by? How did I never hear about this film? I was like
right over your head.
Yeah, it really did. It was like one of those movies that was like so good, but like for whatever reason, I was like living under a rock during those few months, and it just escaped me. I never got a chance to watch it, and I saw it one day on of all places, it was on TNT or TBS, one of those, one of the sister
It was
stations.
FX. They got the movies.
No, it wasn't that one. It was TNT or TBS, and I caught the latter half, so obviously a lot of stuff was kind of like spoiled.
Yeah.
But it was so good. And then I went out and bought the DVD, and me and Hibiki sat here and watched it, and they were like, oh my god, the movie's so good.
Well, apparently the Oscar Academy also missed over it because He's still batting, 0-10 or something?
Yeah, something. Just the fact that he keeps going to the plate there, that's just shows you the caliber actor he is. For one, that he keeps continually showing up. But there's people like Jennifer Lawrence. She's 1 for 1, right?
Yeah.
All it took was 1 for her. And there's others that are 2 for 5, or something. He's 0 for 10.
I think just the fact that Jonah Hill has 1 and he doesn't, and Jonah Hill has exceeded my expectations you wouldn't believe. Where it's just he's a raunchy comedy guy. He's pretty much if Seth Rogen won an Oscar, for acting, not even I don't know, something else. I don't know. Being in a crappy movie, but it's you never would expect him to get best. What was it? Best supporting actor he got. That's pretty impressive. That's damn, Jonah Hill. You it's because I love Superbad. So to see someone from that movie actually make their mark on Hollywood and actually have that type of recognition, it's pretty amazing. But at the same time, Leo has just been delivering just hit after hit. Most dudes hated Leo because of Titanic. He was the pretty boy, and all the girls were goo over Leo. But almost every guy also has that moment where you see a Leo movie and you're like, dude, Leonardo DiCaprio's bad. It always starts with, I always hated that Leonardo DiCaprio guy, but this movie is badass. For me, it was was it Gangs of New York?
Gangs of New York.
For some people, it's Departed.
I like that. Okay, I was never big on Leonardo DiCaprio, and in fact, I probably had only seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and that was probably in 2009, when Netflix was the thing to do.
Yeah, when Johnny Depp used to act.
When you only paid $8 for both services.
Back when the country
was strong. Yeah. But I was never really big on him, and then it all started with Gangs of New York 2 years ago, and I saw that one, and I was like, oh my god, Daniel Day-Lewis is awesome. DiCaprio's pretty good too. And then it just kind of started from there, and then The Aviator, and then there was, I'm trying to remember what they were, but there was 2 other movies, and then more recently The Departed, and now Wolf of Wall Street. I'm a fan. And then, that's a lie. It wasn't just What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Romeo and Juliet was always in the queue.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the movies I've always liked, even when it first came out.
I liked it when it first came out. I tried rewatching it on Netflix.
See, I've seen it as recently as Valentine's Day. Me and Hibiki watched it on Valentine's Day, and I was like, yep, movie's still just as good as I remember it.
I tried to watch it. I think it was sometime in January, because they had just, when they revamped all the Netflix movies, I couldn't do it. I was just
really?
It hurt my insides. I just couldn't get into it. It seemed too cheesy. But
I think for me it was Inception.
Oh, okay.
Inception,
yeah.
that was another one. Yeah, that's what that was part of the whole thing that started it all. Because I think otherwise I probably wouldn't have seen Inception had I not already had this because it would to me it would have just been preconceived notion. Oh, just another DiCaprio, regardless of
it's Chris Nolan, man.
Yeah, just regardless of Chris Nolan.
Chris Nolan and Ellen Page and JGL.
Yeah.
There.
See, there was all those factors. Yeah. Those factors probably would have got me to go see it, but I wouldn't have gone to see it because it was a DiCaprio movie.
Yeah,
and that was probably more of a movie if I think about it, it's probably because it had all these. Because I'm a big fan of Ellen Page. I'm a big fan of
it's pretty much the Dark Knight Rises reunion.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, and then after that movie, I became a really big fan of Marion Cotillard.
Oh, Talia.
Yeah.
Ogle.
That's her.
That was a good guess.
That's the one.
No idea.
That's a really good movie. I don't know. It just kind of we've talked about it a bunch of times, but every time we bring it up, we'll always have a new guest. But I just don't understand how it's confusing to people.
Oh, Inception.
Did you have issues with it?
I think just the ending of it, because
to
me he wasn't in the real world at the end,
right?
Because the little
the top
was wasn't sure if it was actually moving or not. People were was like, was it real? Is it fake? Or?
Yeah, that was one of those where it's open ended. But
see, I liked it for the ambiguous ending. I really enjoyed it for that. But the part with the layers, where they keep diving down and down. To me, I didn't really find that too confusing.
That wasn't confusing at all.
Yeah, and then upon the second thing, I mean, obviously you're just if you see like a recent second viewing, then now you're just wanting to focus on things that you missed out from the first one. So I'm just like skimming through it, and then a year later they re-released it after the Oscars and stuff. So I was like, oh, cool, now it's in IMAX. Let's go see it in IMAX. So then I went and watched it again, and then I was like, oh man, this movie, like, it just felt like I was getting better and better because now you're catching like little hints and Easter eggs and like, you know, just them like the scheme for the end of the movie. You know, you're just seeing like the brickwork being laid so early, and I don't know, like it's still it. If anything, it just made like that much more sense. But like I would talk to people at work about it, and be like, that movie was confusing. I'm never going to see it again. I was like, I would urge you to see it again because then you would understand it better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I don't watch movies to do that kind of thing. You know, like that's the answers I get. And they're like, oh, so you're like a Dane Cook comedy movie.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. Some people. I mean, it's the same crowd of people that didn't understand The Matrix. It's like they're in a computer program. What's not to understand? It's something like that. But Carrie says he wasn't dreaming. Michael Caine said so. I trust him over anyone. But there's a really interesting and cool theory about it that his totem was never actually the top. Because remember the whole thing when he tells Ellen Page about like what her totem is, and tells him not to tell him what her totem is. And it was almost like the whole time. Like the theory is that his totem was actually his wedding ring. So he was actually asleep the whole time.
Okay.
So
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's on Cracked. I'm going to post it.
Well, because the totem was actually Mal's.
Yeah,
when he's
right.
reaching into her dollhouse, he goes and grabs it, and that's why that was the whole point of like, don't ever tell anybody what your totem is.
Yeah.
Because they can do the Inception plot on you, kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, but I would suggest reading that theory and then rewatching it. I haven't done it yet because I haven't seen Inception recently, but it's just really interesting. It's just like, like it adds even another layer to all the other layers, and it's like it just goes to show like that's what makes that movie so great. Is it's like not only does the movie itself have layers, and it's like there's just so much more to explore in that movie.
Yeah,
and Ellen Page. That's really all you got to say.
That's right.
So, actually going back to the topic. So, yeah, so the Raid Redemption remake. And I think Carrie had pointed out also The Ring was another one where it was a remake that actually was pretty decent. But, yeah, just to me, it's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, okay, Captain America was probably one of the first movies where, like, the action was just incredible. But it's still not The Raid. Like, I don't think I've ever or will ever see an American action movie that has action on the level of The Raid. And sure, the story in The Raid 2 was good, but ultimately you're there for the action.
Yeah.
Like, unless you can recreate that level of action, then what is the point of remaking the movie?
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like remaking The Godfather, but like not having good actors in it.
Like, well, and the other thing is like, why are you going to remake a movie when all you had to do was raise awareness for the originals?
Yeah.
You know, that'd be like when Rumble in the Bronx Rumble in the Bronx came out. It was limited release. I was luckily able. There used to be a dollar theater right off of Westgate, across from Westgate Mall. When there was a mall, I don't know if you've been in Austin that long, but Westgate used to be a mall, and there was a theater in the Lax, and there was a cool little ice cream shop within that mall. And there was a dollar theater across the street. Now there's a Buffet Palace, I think, that's there now.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there used to be a dollar theater there, and we went there to go see Rumble in the Bronx, and that movie was so awesome. And like after that, like I knew who Jackie Chan was. I never forgot. And I forget a lot of things, but I never forgot who Jackie Chan was. And then after that, a couple other movies came out, blah blah blah, and my love for him has only grown since then.
I can attest to that because anytime I'm like, I don't know, like I think I was talking about Tony Jaa. And I was just saying, like, I was at one of those little, like, carts they have in the mall where they sell, like, all the bootleg, like, martial arts DVDs.
Yeah.
And I just overheard a conversation, and someone was describing Tony Jaa's fighting styles like Jackie Chan on PCP. And I just thought it was, like, a really cool way to, like, tell people, like, okay, because it's, like, really, like, fast-paced and, like, really cool, but also like, really brutal. And I told that to Agamemnon. He's like, no. Jackie Chan is so much better. Tony Jaa is slow. Go back and watch Police Story and tell me that Tony Jaa is anything on Jackie Chan. I was just like...
If only you had a time machine to debate those guys.
Yeah, right. Go back there. May the force be with you, sir. Jackie Chan is a national treasure, not just for Hong Kong, but for America. But I don't know. But yeah, Jackie Chan's fantastic.
But it'd be like if once that movie came out and then the hype for that movie died down. Because like the kids in my class were talking about Rumble in the Bronx. And it was only at that dollar theater at the time. You know, it wasn't like it saw like a huge wide release or anything like that. But with all that said, it'd be like, okay, what if Paramount or one of those big movie companies like, hey, let's get Sylvester Stallone and make our own version of Rumble in the Bronx and give it a wide U.S. release.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't work. Honestly, it wouldn't work.
I will say this, and I get like why they remake movies, especially something like The Raid, because there's still the stigma and people just don't like to read subtitles. And I think it really boils down to that. I mean, they could dub the movie, and it would just look really weird.
Yeah.
But it's like the only movie I can think of in like my entire life that's gotten the wide release with subtitles and did well was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
I can't think of
the
any
only
other
one.
movie where like they actually released it wide release. It was subtitles. They didn't dub it over. Or I think they might have also released a dub version in the theaters. Mm-hmm. But either way, that was like the only one that actually caught on.
I think it was subtitled when I went and saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it subtitled.
Okay, yeah, and that's like the only one. And it's like I feel like they either they just don't think people will go see it, or maybe they've tried it with some other ones and it just hasn't like picked up. But I don't know if there was ever a movie to do it like The Raid. It's just like I said, especially the first one. There's some dialogue, but it's like once the shooting starts, you don't need. I don't care what language you speak. Like you understand punch to the face.
Yeah.
You know, you
Pretty
understand.
universal.
You understand the sound of broken bones.
Well, yeah, those kind of things you shouldn't have to. Well, not that you shouldn't have to. You don't have to remake.
Yeah.
Because an action movie, you can take it for what it is, and like The Raid, like should not be trounced on.
Yeah.
You should just not be messing with it. You
Yeah.
know, just leave it alone, and just spread the message. You know, don't try to make your own out of it.
Yeah, so they said that what they're going to do with this one is it's going to feature a quote unquote clash of fighting styles. So take that however you will. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen Expendables 3. It's not out yet, and maybe the action directing will surprise me. Maybe it'll be really good. But if it's anything like Expendables 2, I really don't give it any credence. Like, I was so disappointed with that movie. Like, you know, honestly, it's funny you mentioned Stallone. If they would have remade Rumble in the Bronx with Stallone, if Stallone was directing The Raid, I would actually feel more confident. Because he at least has that brutal style. Like, with Rambo, the newest Rambo, like, people getting cut in half with, like, M60s. Like, at least you would have, like, the level of brutality. You might not have the incredible martial arts, but you at least know, like, you're going to cringe in this movie at some point.
Yeah, it'd probably be like the gun wielding version.
Yeah,
of The Raid.
yeah, exactly.
I might get behind that, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be called The Raid. It could just be its own.
Yeah,
fucking
I'm
movie.
sure they'll call it something else anyway. The Stallone.
Call it the gun show.
Yeah, right. It's like the posters just him flexing. You got the ticket.
Yeah, it's just gonna be around them, like fighting a bunch of militiamen.
Hand me a Band-Aid because I'm ripped.
These militiamen are out of hand.
Yeah.
We gotta take them down. The only man that can take them down is John Reb.
Yeah. You got any guns? No. Then you're not gonna change anything. They just do another Rambo movie. Just do that instead. But yeah. So we have our final topic. So for those of you that are familiar with the Angry Video Game Nerd, he does a review of like old like Nintendo video games. He's kind of branched out into like Sega and Super Nintendo, but he started off actually as just like the Angry Nintendo Nerd, and he's kind of branched out. His videos are hilarious.
I think he couldn't use the word Nintendo in his name.
You know, with the way Nintendo is, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I mean, his whole
might get sued.
Yeah. They'll send like a spiked turtle shell to his dome. And just knock
Blue
him
shell
unconscious.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, just, oh god, broke my glasses.
Almost at the finish line. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you check him out on Cinemassacre, this stuff's really hilarious. But anyway, so he's making a movie, and the central plot of that is there was this, you know, in the video game verse, there's a, you know, the pretty much what's heralded as the worst game ever was E.T. on Atari 2600. And the game was so bad, it almost single-handedly destroyed the entire gaming industry.
Yeah.
So if you play video games, like, just inherently you should hate this video game.
Just like do some research on video game history.
Yeah. And it was like, it's so bad that they buried it. They're just like, we can't even sell these. We can't even destroy them. We're just going to bury them, just like we're going to bury your past. no one must know. So that's like the plot of his movie, where he's going to uncover this game to play it because he plays the worst video games ever.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, 2 days ago, they actually found this landfill full of these like Atari games. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. And you go ahead.
I just thought it was hilarious because I remember reading about it. I was like, they didn't really bury it. Like, it's probably one of those things where like they probably just melted them or something. They didn't. It's like, come on. It seems like one of the stories that gets passed around and gets exaggerated.
Yeah.
But here I see a picture of it right next to a Starburst wrapper, which is probably the Starburst wrapper is probably worth more than that game now.
This is funny because I was reading the comments on that article and I was like, geez, the snobs are already out. Like, really? I thought this was so well documented that everyone just knew that this was an actual fact. I was like, cause like there was one comment just like myth and legend. I don't understand why people are calling it. This has been well documented. And they were like,
God.
well, I think it's because of the fact, that Atari came out and denied that they had done that is what gained it that legendary credence or myth, or just became this like video game mythos. And that's what kind of lent to that, I guess, lack of credibility, or just kind of put that amazement behind, like, who would do something like that? It just sounds ridiculous,
Or maybe somebody from Atari just like made up a lie and just burst from there.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that just kind of like. Then you get the more informative, like level-headed people. So like, I wonder what Atari's got to say. And then some guy comes out like, the Atari that we know now is not the same as the Atari back then. It was the people that own that name now actually bought the name. So it's not the same company people that, nor did they have anything to do with the burial service.
It's almost
or
like
the making of E.T.
It's almost like whenever presidents or like just ex-presidents like apologize for like atrocities that happen. It's like the current president of like Atari is like, we apologize for the atrocities committed in our name before we took over the company. But we will never and have never released E.T. extraterrestrial, and we won't give you any garbage like that. We create a high-quality video games for entertainment and sometimes informative. But it's just like, I don't know, I just thought it was hilarious. And it's just, because I mean, the whole thing we were saying where they were trying to cover it up or they denied that it happened, like, who wouldn't? Like, you really want to admit, like, you made a game so shitty you had to bury it. Like, when you think about that, imagine that now. Like, imagine Microsoft made, like, Windows 8, and it was so bad they couldn't sell them and they just had to bury them in the ground. Like, any company having to do that nowadays, that would be, like, the most embarrassing thing ever. I think it's just funny how, like, like when Mafia people kill someone, the body floats to the surface. This is almost like Atari, just like, oh, man, they found that. I told you, no more shallow than 6 feet. People are going to find it. So, I don't know. This is just hilarious. And, like, I wish that the Angry Video Game Nerds movie was coming out sooner, just so he could, like, ride the wave of, like, this news story.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has a release date just yet, but I don't know. It just tickles me.
Yeah. I think he's finished filming.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of like editing that he's doing now.
Yeah, that's I think what.
But now with like the new discovery, the fact that it's actually real.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be like the best time for the movie come out, or if it'd be the worst time.
I think it might be the best time because everyone's talking about it, so you can kind of get ride that wave.
Yeah. So hopefully that is what the case is, because it could just backfire and be like, oh well, they're presenting it as a myth, and it turns out it was true. And
yeah, I guess it.
So the end of it, the ending of it all, just kind of makes it seem like, oh, it's just some ridiculous movie.
It is true. If they did end it where there was no game, it would be like, reshoot, alternate ending.
Yeah. Well, depending on how the story goes that he did.
Okay. Well, anyway. Oh, and Luis. I love how like his icon popped up like just in the nick of time. He's like, oh wait, don't forget about me.
I'm here, guys.
Yeah, it's like, and as always, Luis. I forgot. Like, how could I forget Luis? But anyway, so and then of course in studio we got Blood Ocean
07.
So appreciate you once again coming to
man.
join us, being the completing the perfect trifecta of podcastiness. So anyway, with that, this is Prometheus,
This is Agamemnon.
This is Blood Ocean 07.
and this has been Straight
Outta
Austin.
Yeah.
Unburied Edition. We don't fill no landfills.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Be
Peace
sure
out.
to check out the podcast on Wednesdays or Wednesday when I'll repost this. So yeah, and thank you, Carrie, for the compliment.
For the
show.
chocolates.
Yeah, yeah, and the fruit basket.